Alrighty. Surprise stream on a first day for some surprise Starbound. Maybe that's just what I should do. Maybe on the surprise streams it's kind of like anyone's guess what kind of game it's gonna be, eh? So I just got home from a very boring meeting with the job center, and way to Terraria, no power dude, obviously. Yeah, I just came back from a very boring conversation about all the do's and don'ts, and just further realizing how bad the job center is at actually helping people within my field of work in actually getting a job. So I want to try and distract myself with a little bit of Starbound. Oh yeah. And of course, Dream Readers. I forgot to start that up. How are you doing, Power Dude? It's like hot as balls outside today. I've went out like expecting like at least a hoodie or something just to break the wind, but holy shit, it's so fucking warm. I was sweating by the time I was even halfway there, let alone when I got back home. But man, today's not been a fun day. Woke up, called the job center, and got the message that oh, I need to get down there. JJ, don't dox him. Say hi to him for me, by the way. I'm looking forward to the party. So let's just take a look at Stream Raiders, which for some reason it's saying looking for a game to capture. Is it because I'm in this menu? Huh? Huh? What? Or is you talking about like what? Stream Raiders, hello? Why is it not showing anything? Capture specific window. Stream Raiders, thank you very much. For some reason that had changed. It's not even full screen. Huh. That's annoying. Yeah, I need to fix this real quick. There we go, that is much better. When I say huh, it's just the last thing you said. Didn't hear it because it's a bit windy and no, I was just saying don't dox our friend, our common friend, but and say hi to him from me, and that I'm looking forward to seeing him at the next party. So we can keep going on this map, by the way, to beat the ancient boss, which I think there might be some reason to do that, and I only realized this like this is like the last one, so okay, cool. Yeah, but we're also doing Stream Raiders today. But yeah, holy shit, it's like so fucking warm today. Okay, now the Stream Raiders is behaving. I don't need to show it on my preview. What do we have? A bunch of orcs, a bunch of level 1 orcs. I think it's because we lost the previous fight. Meh, let me put down an orc slayer to get us started. You can do whatever you want, because we're not in a rush today. He's here, see ya. See ya, Power Dude, and say hi again. Have fun wherever you're going. Oh. And don't harass all the ladies now, please. We both know how he gets. Just a bit of restraint. But who am I kidding? That'll never happen. Ah, yeah. Starbound. What was the last thing we were doing? Oh, yeah. Ooh. So this is my friend iPeak. I wonder if he's gonna say yes. Oh, he did. It's his server, so that is where we're playing. I can't remember what the race is. What are they called again? They're not the Avali, they're not the Avican. They're like this other race, this deep ocean or deep sea race. It's right on the tip of my tongue, I can't remember. Anyway, so last time I played Starbound, I went into a little bit of detail on like how fracking Universe's wiring system works. Which, if you're new to Starbound, this might be a bit overwhelming, so just ignore all this craziness. But the general gist is that I've got automated machinery doing stuff similar to like modded Minecraft and that kind. So you have a rock crusher here that takes crushable rocks and outputs the resources into this box here. In this case, gravel, silicon, and some other things. And that's all automated using like solar cells that are up here in the top left. And yes, most of my ship is currently consisting out of dirt blocks, but Starbound doesn't care, that works just fine. Now we're parked at this planet. I'm trying to remember what we were doing. It's this one, right? Yeah, this is a strange sea planet. Potentially lethal gas. I think I tried going down there, but based on the geological analysis here, you can see that it's a pretty high tier planet. In vanilla, for reference, Solarium is the highest tier ore that you can get, with Ferrocium, Aegisalt, and Violium being the second highest. And being fracking Universe and modded and stuff, there's even some of those high-end stuff here like Noxium and Ephigium, which is even higher than those vanilla ones. And we're not quite there yet. So let's see. Also, what was I doing the last time? There's like a couple of things I would like to do next. I think one of them is to start diving into one of the mods, which is called Ilithian Races, which, as the name suggests, adds a bunch of pretty awesome races to the game, including a bunch of things you can craft. But in order to unlock the crafting recipes, you need to complete some mod specific quest lines. And the particular quest in question requires you to go to desert planets. It's very specific for like a heavily modded Starbound game where there's virtually like maybe up towards 100 different types of planets. So one thing is that you have to go to a desert planet, and the next is that you need a specific biome, as far as I remember, unless it's been changed. Like this is like I'm going off knowledge that is like, you know, very old, so I could like completely be wrong, but this is like a desert, right? So it's got desert and alien desert as surface biomes, which is not what we're looking for, unfortunately, so we'll have to keep looking and hope that we have the fuel to do so. Now there are also red desert planets, but I can't remember if the biomes that I need to go to can spawn on those. But basically the general gist is that there are some very particular enemies you need to hunt for some components that only spawn in the modded sub-biome added through Ilithian Races, and those sub-biomes only generate on vanilla desert planets, obviously limiting highly the possibility of it happening, like being present. There's like dry riverbed, fine sands, crystalline swamp. No, it doesn't sound like any of those. And to make matters a little bit more complicated, I can't even remember the exact name. I think it's like desert wetland or something like that. Because it was very specific. Wart field. The desert wetlands. You know what? Let's just quickly look up the mod, because I think that might be a better idea than completely random chancing it. What's it called again? Elephant races? Yes, this one. So you can also get like a little bit of overview. Like you can be these droids as a bonus race, which are basically like Star Wars Federation battle droids. Kind of cool. They don't need to eat ever, but they have like some other stat detriments that make them sort of vulnerable as a cost, I guess. Looby-doop. Yeah, freaking universe and all that stuff supported, but that's not what we want. Unofficial guide for getting started. Hunting, so these new materials, how do you get them? Well, it's simple. You violently slaughter every animal you come across. Crossed out. Carefully hunt the wildlife of a planet with specific weapons. These weapons being hunting spears, hunting knives, hunting bows, and a harpoon gun. I think because of the mods we're running, we can do more than these, but that's the general gist. Start off with a hunting knife located in your ship locker. I don't think that's the case in our situation. Blah, blah, blah. Killing creatures with weapons in the hunting category will greatly increase the chance of them dropping bones or hide. Okay. Creatures on planets with a higher fauna threat level will drop higher grade bones. Rarely any creature can drop a legendary monster bone. These are used for some crafting bench upgrades and for a quest. I obtained several variable skulls from hunting. Huh. What do you know? Maybe they've changed it then. Because it used to be like that, from what I can recall. But with the added like... why can't I eat this? But with the added like difficulty of it requiring you to like hunt very specific creatures as well. Okay, let me just check because I have my stockpile up here. Now I have some monster hide and some monster bone. I don't know if those are the particular ones that we need. Okay, well we'll see. Let's see if I can't find that quest. Because it should be in this list. It's a recipe. Awaken crafting technique. That's the one I want. A room call. How would you like to learn more about Awaken crafting techniques? Gather special materials from a... Yeah, okay, so this is the quest. Yeah, because this gives you the Awaken crafting guide, which unlocks the ability to craft the Awaken stuff. So sand spitter, sand crawler, or stingwing swarm, and a Valar. Shoot. Yeah, so those are like even more... so that tells me that that guide is like only if you're starting as the race. Reckon universe changes. Okay, so those are just the stats. Just to see if there's anything here. Drink, e.g. Nothing. Starfarer Refuge, that's like similar to the outpost in the vanilla game, but this is like a separate place that works exactly the same, just for the Awaken quests and all that stuff. How do you get a license then? Complete list of Seafarer quests. Kept Rider, no. No, no, no. No. No, What? None of these. So again, assuming that you're one of the races, I suppose. Okay, well, let's go back to the mod page then. Because this is like one of those cases where... Crap, okay. Frequently asked questions, possibly. Abakan and Wally, yeah, they are very similar. Like, you can see that on the preview there. Craft items objects specific to a certain race, but I don't want to play as the race. How do I do this? You can unlock almost all crafting races, blah blah blah, obtaining a crafting guide, crafting guides, specific quests. You can start them immediately. Look for the following places for the quests. There. I thought I remember they would be in the FAQ. So where do I find sandcrawlers, sandspitters, stingwing swarms, or Valar? All these creatures are found in the desert wetlands biome, which is commonly found as a sub-biome on desert planets. May have to visit several instances of these biomes before finding every type of creature, but the spawn rates for these creatures is very high. Please note that users of Fracking Universe may find it more difficult to find this new biome. If it adds a great number of new biomes, reducing your chance of finding that specific one, yeah. Just as I expected to. Okay, let me just go back to the right overlay. Starbound. Okay, well that means that we have a little bit of a work ahead of us. So it is specifically desert planets. Okay. Yeah, none of those apply. Which also tells me that the ones we found on the Red Desert are not what we're looking for. I don't think we'll find it on a desert moon either. Oh, there's a desert. It's on a red planet though, so it might be exceedingly dangerous. Okay, let's see, where are you? There we have it. Desert and desert oasis, so again, not on that planet. Being able to see that kind of info is very nice though. For reference, by default you can't see what the sub-biomes there might be on a planet, including a lot of the extended data that shows up whenever I'm looking at one. So under normal circumstances you would have to land on the planet and literally circumnavigate the whole thing to realize that the biome in particular you're looking for doesn't even exist there, and then move on to the next. Which I don't really want to do that. So hence we've got this nice extended info. Another thing that this also shows you is climate threat and fauna threat. It's like a summation, with fauna threat meaning the enemy level. So this tells me that at most I can get tier 2 weapons and other related items on this planet from taking out enemies, as the general fauna threat is pretty low, right? Since with Fracking Universe, this sun looks like super fancy. Since with Fracking Universe it's no longer a linear progression in the same way. Oh, it's a dying star, that's why. That is why. So for those that don't know, in vanilla Starbound you sort of have this linear progression between the different planet types, where every time you go to the next solar system in line, it generally has like a theme going forward, if that makes any sense to you. But what I mean by theme is that like the gentle stars, which are the places that you start, will have forest biomes, desert biomes, planets, that is. And like generally speaking, just fairly easy to survive planets with little to no environmental or like danger of any kind. There's another desert planet. Oh, we need more fuel in. But and then like later on you go to a, what is it even called in vanilla? Is it fiery star or is it red star? I can't remember. They're red and blue basically. So the red one has all like the volcanic and hot areas, and the blue one has like a lot of cold biome planets. And the idea is that you progress from one to the next to make the environmental protection suit from the previous planet types materials, and then that also goes along with the crafting of like gear and such. So the ores you'll find will also progress in the same sort of, at the same rate that you're progressing through these planets, eventually leading you to Solarium as the highest tier ore, which also consequently means that every time you progress from one tier to the next, the entire previous tier worth of planets are gonna be completely useless to you, since they all have like a general difficulty rating, meaning that no matter which planet you go to on like a lower tier solar system, they're all gonna be kind of trash in terms of their rewards, at least, right? So there's basically no reason to go back once you progress to the next, because the enemies are so weak that they get one-shotted, and you don't get anything out of them that helps you progress in any way whatsoever, since all the items, like all the gear, is going to be too low tier to matter. Okay, so we need some fuel in this sucker. We have this, we have some crystal Arceus fuel, not a lot though. Maybe I need to go to my friendship. Friendship, get it? Haha, haha. Because this is not gonna take us far. Do technically have these energy flowers that can be farmed for fuel, but I don't know if the farm I have, like it's just these glowing plants up here. Should I like expand that farm just because I can? I kind of want to, but at the same time I also see like no reason to. But I'm kind of contemplating it just because it could be fun to have an organically driven ship. But yeah, this is his ship. It's got like nuclear power and stuff. But he's got this gas pump here that you can find rarely when exploring certain planets. You can directly just buy fuel in here. If I do this, I can buy 444. Might as well. Subsequently, you can also sell things back in return to this at full price for some reason, because that's just how broken it is. So I actually happen to have a lot of stuff I need to get rid of, so let's just abuse this situation for the moment, because I've been getting a lot of these pickaxes and I don't really have any use for them at all, so let's just sell it. Also, these drills, kind of useless. Even have some stuff from the very first mission that you do. Storyline mission, or whatever you want to call it. Also, no longer necessary. Jump speed, 80% run speed. Oh, that's for a pet. Oh, there he is. Oh my god, these fucking suicidal potions I looted. They sell for 4,000. Holy shit. That's like more than all the rest combined. And we're off. Don't mind me, I'm just like borrowing your thing. Oh, I can also sell these for 5,000 a piece. Are you crazy? So for these things are like, damn, even these geos. Okay, so the way you get these is, I don't remember if I have, should have some geodes on me still. Maybe they're stored. No, wait, there they are. So you basically open these geodes and then you randomly get them, as well as other ores. Damn. See ya. But yeah, the gas pump is kind of OP because it's so easy to get pixels once you have like a good source for them. And now I should be able to just, if I can freaking figure out where that stuff I bought even went. There they are. Yeah, I just filled up the entire ship of fuel and I even have some excess. Nice. Now that is crazy. A little bit broken, but meh. It's not really like it matters too much. We've done the grind before and we're kind of just playing for fun, right? So but yeah, on this we have both blue stars and frozen stars, so that's why I can't remember if the vanilla game does the blue stars or the frozen stars. You need to ban Hoss or any variant that shows up is a bad bot. Do not click on its profile. Okay, thanks, Papa Rapes. Oh. Why? What's going on with that bot? And what does it do when it enters, by the way? Does it post a link or something? Desert and crystalline swamp. Oh, god damn it, that's not what we're looking for. Oh, there's another desert planet here. And how are you doing, Papa Raves? Just coming in here like guns blazing. NP, it's been around for a month or two now. It's a group. You click on its profile and it does malware stuffs? Really? That's kind of fucked. Like through Twitch? It's kind of hard to believe, but I guess nothing is impossible. Don't understand it all, but it's something that was brought to your attention. Well, thanks for sharing at least. It's still there. Well, yeah, that's like... As you say, it's been around for a month or two now, and it's still not been dealt with. That sounds like typical Twitch. But then again, like, they probably need to figure out what the hell's going on with that whole thing. Because normally, like, unless you're taken to... like, redirected to a different page... What else is that one we're looking for? Unless you're being redirected to a different page, there's usually not much you can do, is there? Eh. Good as well. Hope you're well. Been looking about again to just about to head to appointments. Yeah, I've been at an appointment today with the job center, and it was like a very boring talk. Because I'm moving from one social benefit system to another. And like the other thing that I'm moving into, you get less in terms of a payout if you're under 30, which I'm 29, so for like half a year at least still. So it's like one weird quirk about it. But they're also way more demanding in terms of what you need to do. But at the same time, they're no better equipped at like helping you out actually getting a job in my field of work, so it was just really depressing to be there. Lost accounts, jeez, okay. I'll definitely be careful. That's crazy though, because normally, like, I know my moderator, Amopika, he'll go into like people's profile if they seem suspicious and see what's up in order to like report them and ban them and stuff. But if the act of going in there alone somehow can affect him, that seems kind of messed up. But yeah, that whole talk was kind of not fun, because our job center system is like, the profession of game developer doesn't even exist in their system, so they have you make this ABC plan, which is like an A track, a B track, and a C track, in case, I don't know if it's like anything, if it's like used worldwide or whatever, but the general gist is that the A track is your main priority, and then, you know, descending in order is your least priority on the C track. So for instance, in my case, my A track priority would be game developer / level designer, or something to the tune of that, where my C track would be like kitchen helper or working in logistics. Gotta run though, we'll be lurking. Hope your moves turn around in your favor though. Yeah, thanks, Papa Rapes. Yeah, I also don't want to keep you, of course, you've got stuff to do yourself. But have a nice day, I guess? Depending on what kind of errands it is. And I'll talk to you later at least. And thanks for the uplifting words. It's gonna be hard, but yeah, it's like, you know, can't really do much, then keep trying. Desert Oasis, we're just not having any luck with this random gen. I do recall this as well being one of those things where, like, it takes a lot of resources to get started with the crafting thing, because you have to look for desert planets with that subbiome. And I think the reason why it works like this is because that's the only way that you can add like more creatures into the more creatures into the game is by adding your own biomes, maybe? Or rather, I would assume that's the safest way to do it, maybe. Because if you think about it, if one mod overwrites the spawning table for creatures in a certain biome and another mod does the same, then if they override each other, then, you know, which creatures are you gonna spawn in then? Oh well. Okay, that was not the one, that was a scorched planet. Fine sand and desert again. Yeah, those biomes are not that common when you're doing modded stuff. Oh my god, Alex. Hey, Alex. Welcome too, you and your party of 3. How are you guys doing? Let's see, what were you playing? My guess would be RimWorld, or Pathfinder, or 7 Days to Die, maybe? Why did the SO command not work? Oh, nope. Yep, okay, oh, Crusader Kings, free. Oh, okay, that's another good one. How you guys doing? You're coming just in time for some Stream Raiders. All wrong. Yeah. Well, you know, it was a guess. I would still say that it was a good guess, though. Crusader Kings is so fucking cool too, though, but I just don't have the patience to play it myself. It's like, I feel that Crusader Kings has the same, like, behind the scenes, like, concept as RimWorld. Like, it's more a story generator than like much else, because just like RimWorld, you're out of control for so many things, because oh, you could go to this event thing, but you could return without an arm, and then the rest of the game you'll be Harold the Armless or something. Doing good. My Welsh kingdom still exists, but my direct control is gone, and I am now in Frankfurt. Or as the Germans pronounce it, Frankfurt. Yeah, it's stories. Yeah, exactly. I remember the first time one of my friends told me about it, was pretty crazy. Half the things don't even do it. Doesn't even cut it, does it? I mean, the world of Crusader Kings is so fucking massive that we are like your interaction with the world is about 1% of the entire game. Because before you know it, the Huns take over half the world in this alternate storyline. Moo, you get a healer scroll, and Rene. I almost said renegade, but it just says Rene G. You get a barbarian scroll. I was king of Wales. I'm now subject to the Queen of Wales as Duke of West Franconia. Yeah. I think also like when I first heard about Crusader Kings, and that was Crusader Kings 2. Yeah, we'll continue the map. We have like this fucking boss down here. And he explained to me how he was doing like a Scandinavian run, as you could probably imagine, being a Danish guy or whatever. And he sent like Vikings down to the Middle East as their honor guard. Like he sent his oldest son down there, and he came back without an eye, and he was impotent or something like that. It was very entertaining to listen to. Been lived since Crusader Kings 1. Yeah, and it's also like the crazy thing about it is that you can continue on your save in Europa Universalis, right? Or Universalis. That is like such a weird name to pronounce, like in English when you're used to other languages. Europa Universalis, as you would in Danish. But yeah, that is like such a crazy concept. I've been watching some of the Spiffing Brits videos on it, where he's like done the 100 Statman runs and such, just messing around with the game's mechanics. There's like a lot of very peculiar Easter eggs in that game. It's kind of ridiculous, really. Right now I am looking for a particular planet in Starbound, and if you don't know what Starbound is, it is a two-dimensional platformer with fully destructible terrain, similar to Terraria, Minecraft, or those kinds of games, except it's in space. And you travel between planets that have different biomes and makeup and enemy types and so forth, and yeah, do quests and build your ship up, maybe a moon base, that kind of stuff. Correct. And for history buffs, it's fun too, as you can play alternate histories too. Yeah, exactly. Like trying to see what would happen if the Danish Vikings kept control of England and stuff like that, right? Actually, what was that other particular thing here? It's a Legion outpost. Meh, we're not gonna explore that. It is kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm looking for a desert planet with a particular sub-biome on it, because a mod called Lithian Races requires you to hunt some very particular animals, and they only spawn in a specific sub-biome that only generate on desert type planets. So I've kind of like been forced to planet hop a lot right now in order to try and find a planet with said biome. So I guess it gives you like the opportunity to see how much variety there is in a modded playthrough of this. This is on a live server too, owned by a friend of mine. Badlands. It's not what we're looking for. Kick out all the Norsemen and create a Saxon kingdom. Or make like Denmark never convert to Christianity. Like there's so many things. And that's just, you know, a very, very small section of like Scandinavian history. Right? So. Like imagine, is it possible these days to play like, or would you have to do Universalis? Like, can you actually play as like Native Americans and go and curb stomp all of Europe? Or is that not a part of it yet? Because that would be some really alternate history for sure. Probably would be hard to implement too, because you know, not much is that much is known about their past, I guess, as compared to like Europe and stuff. But I guess it's like similar to the reasons why people play oh, what's it called again? Not Anno, what's the other one? Civilization. No, that's EU. Yeah, Europa Universalis. Yeah, I thought so. But then you're like so far ahead in history that we're not talking Vikings anymore, unfortunately, right? Could be fun to see like Vikings having to fight Native American Indians coming across the ocean for some reason. Lion sand driver bed pitch field. Still not what we're looking for. For reference, we're looking for a desert wetlands biome according to the thing that I read. So we have to keep looking. Before we do that, I have to harvest some crops though, I see. Because I have also got a secondary objective I'm trying to accomplish that requires some very particular crystals. Didn't get a seed again. Got like this one plant here that produces oceanite, I think, these crystals, and I need 40 of these. So as you can tell, I've only got 14 of them. Still quite a while to 40. Oh, on to the next planet. But yeah, like today was a little bit of a doozy. For me, like at least. I only came back like about 50 minutes ago. I basically woke up and called the job center because my social benefits had kind of run out. So there's like different, what do you want to call it, social benefit systems over here, where some of them are sort of limited in how long you can stay in that system. And due to the pandemic and stuff, it had been extended, the one that I was in, up to like an entire year. Normally it's at most, mostly it's like 2 years at most. And then you can get extensions if you work out, depending on how many extra hours you might have worked. So each hour like you work, you can extend it by another 2 hours, that kind of stuff. But still being unemployed means that time has finally run out. So I called the job center and said like, oh, I've got like all the paperwork, but they told me that when I applied for it, that I need to like tell the job center that I am unemployed, which couldn't quite understand because I've been unemployed for literally 3 years, so I've already done that once. Desert and bones? God damn it, game, give me what I want. But anyway, so the long story short is that I basically had to go down there in person because I had to go through like an entire long process of being introduced to a new counselor because it's a different system. So whoever I had before, she's no longer like counseling me, and yeah, it was just like a mess in terms of like me not knowing stuff. So I had like applied to this transition ahead of time and thought I would be smart in doing so, but because the social benefits are paid backwards, so like you go into the next month and then you get paid for the month before, meant that I couldn't switch until I'd receive documentation for moving into like, or for running out of that other social benefit system. So my deadline was like to give them this documentation was before I could even get the documentation, which was kind of stupid. But you know, that's just this social system, not like giving you all the information when you need it. And as a result, like, this system is way more strict in terms of what you can get away with, I guess you could say. Or rather, like, what they ask of you in order to get your social benefits. For reference, the previous system was a very generous one, where at most you, at minimum, I mean, you needed to apply for 6 jobs over a period of like a month. So there may not be a, like, from any given date, you should not be able to go back a month and then, or you should be able to go back through a month and there would at least be like, you know, had been 6 job applications in there, which is not a lot for a month really, but that's just how the system is. The general just being that, you know, on average you basically make 2 applications a week to fill this quota, so to speak. And the idea being that, oh, you're showing that you're being an active job seeker, you know. It's basically like attendance in class to some degree is how I viewed it, which is a little bit weird, but you know, it is what it is. The new one though is a little bit more strict and specific, I guess. So the lady told me that on a specific date each month, she'll go in and see if I'm fulfilling my things. And on that date, she needs to be able to see that before, like, going back to the, like, in between those dates that, so basically like the other system, there would have been 9 job applications as a minimum. So, desert and colorful? So like, not really that different, to be honest. And to me, it doesn't matter if it's 6 applications, 12 applications, or 16 applications, if they all don't lie within my field of expertise, right? I could make 1 application that would matter way more than the remaining 15, because they would be more relevant, but you know, they have quotas that they make you fill, and that's just kind of how it is. And the really sad part, which is what gets me so depressed, is that their system is just not set up to handle people in my line of work. For reference, I do anything media related. I can do programming, game development, artwork creation, 3D and 2D. So a lot of broad competences. Oh, I've used up all the freaking food. Okay. So like a lot of creative competences as well, and designer competences rather than practically, like physically capable competences. And unfortunately, the job center, it's like the only thing they can see of physically demanding jobs is what it feels like. Because whenever we're talking about, well, what kind of job should I like apply to, they always beeline towards like, oh, what about working in logistics, or working in a kitchen, or working like in any kind of physically demanding job. And I mean, look at me, for fuck's sake. I've been like sitting on my ass working my brain to death, not my muscles, for the last like, oh god, how many years now? Like since I started school, pretty much, like, you know. And you think that the best opportunity for me to get into a job is to take on a physically demanding one. Like, okay, not saying I couldn't do it and get used to it, but there's like no future in it for me. No matter what you think. Like, that's another thing, they're so freaking ignorant, it's ridiculous. Even this lady said like, oh, you know, I think like the best course of action here is just to get some work experience on your CV. And she says, continues by saying like, because, you know, when you're making job applications and stuff and people look at your CV and they can see you haven't been professionally active, basically, like that's my words, not hers, for the last 3 years, they wonder what you've, like, they assume that it means you've been doing absolutely nothing, like jack shit, for the last 3 years, basically. But as I told her, but that's not how the game development scene works. Like, it doesn't put me in a better position to have, you know, worked in a kitchen or like at a storage facility, no matter how many hours. It doesn't help me get a job within the field that I'm looking for. And clearly the guys in there, they have no clue about how all this stuff works. So they're complete, like 100,000% incompetent in terms of actually trying to help you get into the industry at which, you know, you can put your skills to actual use. If I'm in a kitchen, like, other than, you know, real life experience being a human, there's nothing else I can take with me in there, or out for that matter. Like, I can take the cooking skills out and I can use that in my daily routine, but how do you get a job in IT from working in a kitchen? Like, I just don't understand their logic sometimes. Because I've got like work experience, it's just not professionally paid stuff. And you know that, of course, Alex. Like, I've worked on mods for RimWorld, and I've done stuff before that. And then for people that might not know, I've also been working on video games. Even have like a functional, I guess you could say, prototype demo that's freely available. I've got a portfolio with all the information on all the projects I've worked on, both like during my studies and after that. And it's not like I don't do stuff, you know? If I didn't do stuff for 3 years, I would have gone freaking insane. Yeah, portfolio is very useful. Desert, cactus, caliche field, fine sand, and desert oasis. So, I do have like a portfolio. It's like a thing or whatever. I'm not afraid to show this because this is like publicly available, of course, you know. I mean, I've got this in here, Master Stone Prelude, with all the stuff that I've worked on. And this is like a solo project, all of this stuff. For anyone that's curious, let's actually, let me just show you the trailer. That's probably the best. And again, all of this is stuff I've worked on myself, but it's not been enough to get a job in the games industry, so I don't know what to do anymore. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, to just send out as many of them as I can is what you mean. Yeah, I've been trying that on and off. I've just not been having much success with it. But yeah, this is like something that you can go and play right now for free, by the way. Yeah, I get that, Alex. That's also what everyone tells me, right? And that's also what I would do. It's just not what the job center wants you to do, which is just so fucking dumb. Or at least occasionally the job center doesn't want you to do that. But yeah, this is like, this is a game you can go and play right now if you wanted to. Completely for free. Since it's on itch.io. It just never took off, unfortunately. Which, you know, it is what it is. And as a result, I didn't continue implementing the desirable future editions. So, But it's got a lot of stuff in it already. Most of it is like framework for making more levels possible, but so like a tech demo of like what you can do in this game if I were to fully develop it. Unfortunately though, this project turned out to be too big for my own good, so yeah. Got out of the rat race by being officially classified as having Asperger's syndrome. That on top of a few physical limitations makes me fully disabled. Now I teach Dutch to foreigners and I just love the job. Well, yeah, that's a thing, right? And actually, that kind of goes along with what most people say. Like, if you don't know what to do and you're unemployed, you should consider going into like teaching others, right? Into teaching. Oh, right. For some reason I was not allowed to eat this pearl pea rice risotto. Well, not like I lost anything. Thanks for the reminder, I peek. At least I don't think anything fell into space, so we should be good. Yeah, that's what happens when you're in a server. But yeah, this is like completely playable. So if anyone is curious, there's the link as well. But yeah, like this is kind of what I want to do with my life. I really want to make video games. I'm very confident that I'll do a really good job at doing it too, because I've been just trying so many things. And yeah, I just really want to apply that knowledge I have to something. And if I get to work in logistics, I just know that I have to turn all of that like brain capacity off. And I just know that I'll bore myself to death and be like fucking hating it all the time. And other than like, it would literally just be a job to get some money, right? And that also goes against what the job center sort of suggests you're doing. Assume Danish job center is the stupidest. Probably. I think it's the same thing all over the place. How streamers even doing? Okay, 9 minutes. But yeah, it's like they don't even in their internal database have the any game development definitions. Like, it just doesn't exist. When I first became unemployed, and I said, well, on my A track, it would be game developer or more specifically level designer. And then he was like, well, that doesn't exist. That's not a thing. And I took that extremely personal. Like, what do you mean that's not a thing? Well, it's not in the system, so it doesn't exist. Ergo, it's not a thing. You can't be a level designer. But that's like the most frustrating thing for me. Getting out of university, being literally specialized into doing level design and game development, and then being told that that's not a thing you can be, right? Like, what? The job center is supposed to help you get a job, not tell you that your profession doesn't exist. Because that's like the most fucking, like, what do you even call it? Like, that's an insult, right? Like, I took that personally. I took personal offense to that. Because that basically, like, the first thing you get told when you become unemployed and out of university and being very happy with your results, then being told that, oh yeah, by the way, that doesn't exist, so we can't help you, so that's not what you should look for, so we'll do something completely different than that. That is just like, that just, you know, it doesn't give you much hope for getting actual help from these people. And it's fair that the employed people might not know what a video game basically even is, which just makes it even harder to talk about. But that doesn't justify that they can't learn. Like, nothing prevents them from actually employing people that know stuff within this field, because if they have the need for it, low I peak, then they should, like, you know, maybe prioritize fixing that. I'm just gonna buy all your fuel. Yeah, that's like the most fucking frustrating thing ever. And then again today, like coming down there, it's like, oh yeah. So let's focus on your C track immediately, because like what's even the point of talking about your A track and B track if all you focus about are all the job positions that, you know, you might as well just kill yourself. I just don't get it. I just really don't get it. And I've tried applying for like programming positions, and I was at like, and this was like very early on. I did go to a job interview too, but that like scared me shitless because it was like an actual exam basically. So it was an interview split in two parts, where the first part was a very sort of, that was like very comfortable, right? Luring you into a false sense of security, I guess. Where they were just talking about the company values and sort of like elaborating who they were as a company and what kind of work environment they were running, you know? Meaning that when they're going out to customers, you need to look the part in terms of how expensive you are, because they were a tech company that does like consultancy work. Oh, I forgot to freaking refuel the bloody thing, didn't I? But they do like consultancy work for other like customers, and since it's all, you know, stuff that you don't get to see on a daily basis, it was important that you wore like nice clothes and such. So they had a dress code. Like, okay, that's something I can manage. You know, if it's at least a job within programming, then it improves my capabilities and it's within the field of my education, so it was relevant, right? Still not in the right biomes. As always, important in business is where you come across clients. Yeah. Yeah. I guess. I mean, looking the part can mean a lot of things too, right? I assume that if you're a plumber going out to a customer and it doesn't even look like you have work attire on, then they get the impression that you're unprofessional in your line of work. So it doesn't have to mean, you know, nice looking clothes or whatever, like shirt and tie, that kind of stuff. But just that you look, you know, suited for the job, I suppose. Just gonna read this thing on the Elysian Races thing. All these creatures are found in the new desert wetlands biome, which is commonly found as a sub-biome on desert planets. Well, that is pretty clear. We've only been looking for desert planets and haven't found that sub-biome once. From what I remember, the red deserts, they do have wetlands biomes, but they are not what we're looking for, unfortunately. But yeah, that's just like basically they spend that 1 hour talking about the company and stuff, and then the next hour is where it all went south, because although they said that this wasn't a test, it was like basically going to an exam, except you were not prepared for the questions because you didn't have any idea other than the general subject matter. You had no idea what kind of things they would ask of you. There would be no kind of preparation, no way to look up anything. So what they basically did was that they handed me an A4's worth of paper, which was stuff that their simulated client wanted for a web shop. I've never worked with a web shop before, so I have no clue like what things, like their work, like how they would work with a client like that. That's a good job interview. Oh, okay, I don't know. I mean, I was like so fucking stressed out. They gave me an A4 paper and then they gave me like 5 minutes, or was it 14? Like not a lot of time to read through this A4 paper, process it, and come up with like a strategy on how to implement it all, like all within a few minutes, basically, on the spot, sitting right across two people interviewing you. Or your ability to bullshit. Well, see, the thing is, it felt to me that what they expected was that I would go up, because they expected me to go up to the board and draw out like how the different parts of the system would interact with each other, right? And it ended out in like them wanting me to do diagrams on how all the code should work, and beyond like I've got the general concept and I passed a course on it, I've never used it for anything in like a real use case scenario, not even for our own projects during university. It was just a tool they taught us because, you know, some people, like when you're communicating in a team, you might need this kind of stuff. But by the time, like, even though I was at this interview like a few months after I left university, right, or finished off university, but the course which we had about this stuff was like something I did 3 to 4 years ago at that point, so I couldn't remember how to do any of that. And to make matters worse, well, I guess we can take that after Stream Raiders, because of course it's going to be a little bit distracting with all this stuff going on, but it just kept getting worse, honestly. Oh shit, I didn't even see the toads. Do we have ranged units? We do have ranged units. Okay, tell you what, let me give you guys some range damage buffs and I'll act as a distraction, hopefully. Take up the toads. Yes, they're only level 1, but I'm gonna go and get myself killed now. See you later, guys. Ooh, see what I meant? That 99 damage. Like, the only way to deal with these is through ranged combat. Fortunately, these archers do like a lot of damage due to the buff, so they'll save us. Nice. You guys were a bit more aware than I was. Good job. Sure P, you get some flag bearer scrolls. Let's just quickly dive into the next one. Oh, that's a lot of orcs. A few worms. Okay. What can we do here? Musketeer Berserker is what I'm thinking. Let's all like try and huddle up down there. And we'll see this in half an hour. Okay, so going back to what I was saying. It was a fucking nightmare because I could not remember how to like do proper diagrams of programs, basically. And as a result, I tried to like remember on the spot how to do it, because it is a good way of visualizing it. But you know, because I guess I did it fairly close to how you normally would do it, they expected that I would be able to like 100% do it the right way, and started questioning into things like, oh, why are you doing this way and such. And like, you know, I didn't have a good argument for it other than, well, I'm just trying to visualize it, right? I didn't say that, but instead I tried to say, like, explain what I was doing, of course, because that was the best I could do. And then at some point, like, one of the things is that I started one of the things I was thinking about was like how to process payments and stuff. And then they immediately went like, no, 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 you don't need to worry about any of that at all, because that's something we use like a pre-built system for. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know that? Like, how was I supposed to know that I did not have to contemplate? So I was like, when thinking about what to do into like how this whole thing should be hooked up, I was like thinking in a way more complex like implementation than what they'd expect me to do. And you know, that basically meant that the instructions were not clear enough on what they actually wanted me to sort of show, right? Because that just made me show that, oh, I don't know the obvious thing to them, right? Which doesn't really benefit the situation and just confuses me unnecessarily. Because I thought like, oh, okay, I need to like figure out a way to integrate this into a payment system and stuff. No, that's like pre-handled. And not knowing how any of that pre-handled stuff works, how am I supposed to implement or hypothetically like implement the rest of it if there's like no sort of like introduction to it? And you know, the idea is that if you got employed, there would be training involved, right? So many months after being employed, you wouldn't be like you would be in training and improving your competences regardless, which would be more than enough time for me to brush up on all the programming things that I would need. So most likely want to use to show top-down process thinking. It's something I have difficulty with because I always try to think in solutions. Yeah, I guess. And to make it worse, they were also at some point saying like, so why are you doing it this way? And I'm like, well, we need these variables within this class, basically, you know, talking a little bit of programming, because it, you know, each of these classes need this, like, this data to be present in order to calculate. I think it was like this is years ago, so pardon my memory, right? But it was something to do with like they needed to be able to apply discounts to specific items in the store, right? And for some reason they said like, oh, this discount should not be on the individual classes. And then I was like, well, how do you apply item specific discounts then? Because if you generalize it on the outer layer and like apply it on a global scale, then all things have the same discount. And that's not what I understood that from the one page worth of which is basically like a, what's it called again? Like a specification for what the customer wants, right? And normally you would never do it that way. Like you would have a talk with the customer, like you would read through it, and then the first step would not be to prototype how to implement it, right? The first step would be to talk with the customer, well, what do they want exactly with this? Because otherwise, you know, you get what happened that day is I have some expectations in terms of my understanding of what the writing tells me to do, which is wrong from what the customer wants me to do, which just ends up being like a back and forth confusion about, well, you wrote this thing and you said you wanted this way, so I'm making it this way. And then them repeatedly saying the most obnoxious thing you can ever hear even at an exam is, oh, you got it wrong, like that's not what we wanted. But it says right there. So instructions were not clear enough. And again, you only had like 5 to 15 minutes or something of preparation worth of time with no like tools at your disposal other than your brain. Like you couldn't even write down notes or anything. So that was like so fucking crazy. The general gist was that they probably wanted me to be able to, do we just need to like go to a desert or something? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that it should show the right biome if we find one. But I've basically been in talks with a friend of mine who has the same education as me as far as I remember. And he worked at the company just in a different branch in a different city. And he basically gave me the behind the scenes explanation of like, this is what they probably will be asking into, and the test or whatever is more like a way of picking your brain and trying to figure out how you think more than like how you like your actual capabilities, if that makes any sense. As he put it, they had just hired a marine biologist at that point because the person in question had like the thinking capabilities of a programmer, right? He could think as a programmer, but didn't have the toolbox of making like proper diagrams and stuff for real like how you would normally communicate that kind of stuff. So he did like a pseudo representation of how like he would connect it up with lines or whatever. And because he didn't have like pre-existing programming experience, I guess, they looked at him more on a broad sense, and that's what I fear, that because I had previous programming experience or whatever, they might have expected more and were setting the bar higher as a result. Which is kind of weird, because that makes it harder for me to get a job if I cannot perform like at a higher level than someone else who has no experience. Which is a very weird way of looking at it. But that's kind of what also turned me off from going into hardcore software development in the first place. And why am I getting so many messages? Probably just the social system telling me like, oh, you got mail from like, yep, okay. But, you know, that's just one instance, of course. Riverbed Baron. This is not the planet we're looking for. My background is electrical engineering into computer sciences, into business, into psychology. It's about 5 years later my diagnosis came in and made sense of my study and work history. Worked in IT, logistics, on data entry, and even worked as a data collection for psychology. No degrees, but 9 years of university. Wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah, on mediology, which is what I have, you also get to work with a lot of different things. You get to work within you get to touch upon a bit of psychology, mostly cognition, because human senses and all that, you know. It's kind of hard to make like let's say good user interfaces as one example without knowing how the human eye perceives colors and that kind of stuff, and how, you know, you process information. So having that kind of knowledge is like very useful, right? But then we also have a bit of concepts within art and graphics design. I did say like user experience, like user interface experiences as well, interaction design. And then we of course also have programming of different kinds, mainly like directed towards media applications, apps and implementations of that kind, you know, interactive experiences, which is a different, like, it's not a high level programming requirement to do that kind of stuff, as opposed to like making algorithms, because we're the people that use algorithms but don't make our own, right? If you want to implement physics, you just look up like, you know, the algorithm for a physics simulation, and then you try and implement that, right? Which is just monkey see, monkey do in a lot of cases. So what you tell me there is actually pretty clear. Yeah, okay, that makes sense based off your experiences. Eat this. And then we also have like experience with signal processing, so like think sound, which is the use case we were using. Again, with the intention of using it for media applications. And of course we also have electronics, soldering, that kind of stuff, more hands-on stuff prototyping of electronic boards and making them work, because in some cases, you know, user interfaces are physical, right? So you need to be able to do it both digitally and physically. Even had example of the job interview. Yeah, okay. And it's like one of the only job interviews I've ever landed, which is even like more demoralizing, because I've applied to a multitude of like programming related positions, but very rarely do I ever get beyond the initial like filtering process. Other than that one thing that I applied to, and that was years ago, right? Of course, they motivated me to keep applying, but based on from what I saw and heard at that interview, I could hear that, okay, maybe the level of programming is beyond my capabilities, and I was like contemplating that, yes, you do get training, but are my current capabilities are not even enough to get through the first phase, right? So, two deeper programming things you really need to know still are proper programming language and SQL. SQL. Oh yeah, what is that again? For some reason that is escaping me right now. Blah, blah, blah. Databases? Oh yeah, databases, right? For some reason that word was like escaping me. I seem to recall we've touched upon SQL, but we've never needed to implement it. When you're making video games, you're like using a lot of other frameworks and stuff more than writing your own stuff. So like, you make things rotate over time, you make things move over time, which is not like super difficult. Like I don't ever think I even touched XML within my time at my education. It's only now that I've been messing with RimWorld mods that I've actually applied any of that stuff. So Crusader Kings and games like that are database games. I don't know. I mean, Crusader Kings has more like to me, Crusader Kings, like the main part of that game, if you were to implement something like that, the biggest difficulty is going to be the AI that's going to generate like a lot of the names and stuff for places. Sure, you have a database that stores all the initial information and any future information that changes with it, but yeah, that's just a storage implementation. Like the main work in that game comes from making the AI actually carry out and make all those changes. So it's like one of those cases where if we go back to the aforementioned interview, like if I were on the other side, I would say like, no, all the database stuff, like we're using like pre-built stuff, like we want you to make like the actual AI part, you know, the difficult part, because that's something that we need to be able to do exactly what we want it to, so we can't use like a standardized solution for that. If that makes any sense. It's maybe a little bit of a bad analogy, but you know, in their case it was a bit of the opposite way. Like you would never make a database for them. It would always, that would be like something you would like make an interface for, but you would use a pre-existing implementation, as far as I know, I would see like. But yeah. But yeah, to make matters even worse, Denmark isn't exactly the best place to get started with game development. A lot of the development studios here are full, small, and far between. Climate is exceptionally warm. Let's just put on Now this planet didn't explicitly have what I'm looking for, but maybe we can find something anyway. I just wanted to like not travel between planets for a second. A few really good ones, but I don't play their games. Yeah, I mean, we also have some really good ones, but they're all located in Copenhagen. Like Trailmakers is made by a Danish company in Copenhagen. I've actually been at a talk with their lead business like guy talking about how to like use Steam's databases for all the like to figure out what games are popular and make an assessment based on like what kind of game you should be making if you want to make like a popular game, basically one that succeeds, that kind of stuff. Very interesting. We also have Deep Rock Galactic, which is made by Ghost Ship Games. They're also located in Copenhagen. Of course, there's also the big old granddaddy, IO Interactive, which, you know, the people behind Hitman and related franchise titles. Where I'm living, we have a company called Bedtime Digital Games. They've made a game called Figment, amongst others, but Figment is like their latest sort of big title, if you will. Very cutesy game. And then like locally we have another company called Cego, C-E-G-O, but they make online virtual casino games, and that's not exactly what I was expecting that I would be working with. Like, I can tolerate gacha mechanics in video games, but that doesn't mean that my own ethics makes me want to like make gambling specifically digital slot machines, like gambling that way. You know, using it as a part of a game is one thing, but it being the entire game is a completely different story to me. So though I have applied at them, they also have not answered my applications, unfortunately, or they have, but you know, declined them. And then we have a myriad of like smaller companies here and there, but the problem is that, so just, I guess this is like a good time to like cover that, I guess. So a little while ago, as part of being unemployed, I was tasked with like, since, you know, the job center themselves could basically not help me, I had to help myself. So instead of them telling me to apply for like specific C-track jobs, I got the let's call it opportunity or task to investigate the Danish game development market in terms of what they actually want instead, and what the market currently looks like. And as a result, I was giving access to like a database that has all the companies in Denmark. Okay, I don't want that. Which shows you all the different game development companies that exist. And what I did was that I limited my search down to be Danish game development companies. Like, it had to be Danish, of course, but they needed to have at least, what did I say, 4 or 5 employees, I think I set it to, right? And they needed to be active, of course. And that very quickly, like those fairly reasonable sort of filtering restrictions I put in there, limited the entire Danish like database of companies down to a total of whopping 30 something companies as potential candidates for where I might get a job, right? So we're talking about Denmark. We have about 5 some million people in here, and there to be barely 30 companies, of which, like, that includes IO Interactive, Ghost Ship Games, etc. Of those companies, maybe at most like 6 of them have the financial capacity to actually expand their team within the next year alone. Most of these companies are too small to even consider expanding their team anytime soon, meaning that it basically meant that there were like about 5 companies I can apply to or something, like realistically, and have maybe an opportunity to get a job. But most of all these companies, right, they already have people employed in the positions that I would occupy, so they're mostly interested in straight up programmers. And unfortunately, because of my profile and background and, like, let's call my CV my marketing material along with my portfolio, anytime a game development company looks at my resume, they don't see me as programmer material. Whoa, what the fuck? Get out of here. So they decline me on the fact that my material doesn't really show me as a programmer as much as like a level designer, and they're not looking for level designers. So basically what happens in a lot of cases is that I send my CV in with the intention of trying to get a job as a programmer, and they reply with, we're not looking for level designers, basically. Like that's been my experience. So like that's not what I was applying to, but they still say we're not taking in level designers, but we can write your bag when we do, which never happens, because how many level designers and game designers does a company, like a production team, need? Well, some people will say they'll need one of each, and as a result, when would you ever get the chance to be hired at a company that at most might be running one project? I know for a fact that some of them do run multiple projects and are a little bit spread thin, but being smaller development companies, they don't have the funds to hire more people, even if they could make use of you, right? And it's just really difficult, because if you're looking at larger game productions, like for instance, you know, Breath of the Wild, whatever, Nintendo is like a massive company, right? For Breath of the Wild, and if you look at the credits, just look how many level designers they needed to put that together. Genshin Impact is probably another one. Like, they have so many level designers. But the thing is, looking for, like, applying for those jobs as well, game developer related jobs, because I'm living in Denmark, and you know, our services are typically much more expensive than that of other countries due to our tax pressure here. They tend to like prioritize other candidates over us as well, just because of that. So you'll be like, for instance, I've tried applying at what are they calling in? People behind the Witcher games. What are they calling in? CD Projekt Red, because they were looking for more employees in relation to you know, Cyberpunk, right? And they had a lot of level designer positions up there, but basically didn't really get a reply, even barely. Because that's another thing, game developers don't really reply that frequently. So you don't get a lot of material to work with either when you're trying to improve your resume, your portfolio, whatever it is. And that's also something I found when investigating the local scene, because other than finding the companies, I was also tasked with contacting them all and ask them, like, are you looking for people to, let's say, like are you looking for people in the near future? What are the possibilities, like, for me to maybe land, like, for you to have a job position that's open? Basically trying to figure out what the scene looks like in terms of job availability, right? And basically all companies said, like, no, we're not like looking to expand. And even the ones that did said, like, maybe in like 2 years. And I can't wait 2 years to get a job when I've already waited for 3 years, right? It just doesn't work that way. So and of course there was the other 50% that didn't reply, And on top of that, there were also some select few that kindly wrote me back that this is not how you get this kind of information, and that the game development companies don't have the time to answer these questions, so because they're busy, you know. So it's like, how do I figure out like what they are interested in, or where I can apply to where it makes sense, other than just like trying to throw my CV out there, which is also what they don't want. It's the typical situation where like person A or company A has a completely different view on the situation than company B, and company C is like in straight contradiction to the other two, and there's just no like, since there's no standardized way to like contact companies and applying for jobs and stuff, you know, you're just gonna get scolded and there's nothing you can do about it. And of course the last thing I want to do is like be alienated to the point where no one wants to like hire me because I'm that guy that's always asking for a job. And well, because I've been asking for a job for so long, maybe there's something as to why, other than the fact that no one is hiring. You know, they start to infer that oh, maybe this guy's not being hired because maybe his competences are not good enough, which is, you know, how the job center sees things. But I don't agree with the job center in that. That's the whole reason why I worked on Monster Stone to begin with, is to like not stay still for like 3 years. But at the same time, the job center also is like, oh yeah, you cannot run like an independent business. You cannot make your own independent business without losing your right to social benefits. Helian desert, fine sand. This biome just doesn't exist anywhere. God fucking damn. But yeah. Oh, so you can't even freelance? Well, that's a good question. See, the thing is, maybe I can now, but it was like very generically, you cannot run an independent business and receive social benefits, because as soon as you receive some kind of alternative income, all your social benefits are gonna be cut, because one of the prerequisites for that previous system I was in was that you didn't have like any kind of income, which is just so fucking self-destructive. Now on this new system, there are maybe some possibilities in terms of becoming an independent business where you can seek for some help, but that's specific to this system, which is just like, why has that not been available to me while in the other system, when there would have been like just to get into that earlier, right? Why was I forced to wait 3 years to get into the other system, or gimp myself in terms of like my economic situation just to get those opportunities? Like, so fucking, and that's part of why I'm so frustrated about it. Take care of my dog, but then I'll be back to hear your struggles. If you still feel like talking about it, I'm okay, Alex. Have a nice walk with Suit. Yeah, it was Suit, right? I think. Trying to remember the name of your dog. But sure, I like ranting about my struggles. It's like the only way that you can really deal with things that are outside of your control. Don't think we're gonna win this one, but kinda expected this much with that many units and only 11 of our own to deal with it. Yeah, got some tanky bros here, but they can't win a war. So yeah, if anyone out there is hiring a multi-talented game developer, then I'm more than interested. Or if anyone knows anyone who knows someone. Oh, this map is like gonna be so much easier It's not, it's like 20% of the units. Okay, there's some sneaky bros down here. Put down a tank for you guys. Mm-hmm. And that was just like part of it. Like I've tried so many different job searching strategies. It's freaking ridiculous. Well, I guess until Alex returns, let's continue our Starbound struggles of also trying to find a planet. Warden plugger. But the thing is, we've kind of run out of fuel again. 2 keys more. What? What are you talking about, iPeak? Keys. Story. Oh, you're doing storyline stuff? Oh right, I'm like completely stuck on that. So is that what you've been doing today? Like I'm still stuck at like scanning and returning to the Easter lady. Is there something that unlocks after that? Because I can't remember. I've just really been wanting to get the Abacan construction set stuff, but that seems to be more difficult than I anticipated. Might have to figure out like some better fuel gaining solution because kind of running out of currency. We do also have some other options. Let's see. Oh, where is that again? Engineering, I think. Yeah, here. Proved faster than light tech. You can build these fuel purifiers so they don't use as much fuel. And you can, I believe, yeah, advanced fuel purifier that is even better. And then the densinium fuel purifiers, which does even more. Oh, hello. Where's this made again? Has to be one of these. No, it has to be this one, right? Ah, here. Gravity generator, fuel purifier. What do we need for the advanced one? Okay, we need regular fuel purifiers. Oh, if I had 3 of those, I could actually make 3 of the others. How many of these can I make? 2. Dear God. Someone really wants to listen to fucking boss battle music. See, I have an answer to that one, by the way. Question is if I'll be able to find it. Oh my god, all the Command and Conquer music. There's one winged angel. Can't even see the titles of all this music. There it is. Well, that's not quite the one as the other one as well, but which one? I think it's just this one, maybe. So yeah, we've got like so many fucking soundtracks in here. You can play with all the MIDI like instruments and it just works. You're distracting me, I peek. So liquid crystal something something. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Prophet in here with an epic primal flying rogue. Thanks for that, Prophet. The Prophet, indeed. Now, with all this liquefied crystal, we should be able to build some more of these. Holy shit. So what are we gonna be short on? Advanced alloys, probably. Probably. That's okay though. Where do we put these? Guess we can put them up next to our FTL drive. Doesn't really matter where they're put. They just need to be put somewhere. Now traversing the universe should be cheaper, and I should actually just have crafted this beforehand, but I didn't, so here we are. Oh yeah, I can put these Arceus crystal. Nope, nope, I thought I could. I cannot. They're extractable though. So what do we gain out of these suckers? Free liquid Arceus fuel. Oh, but we don't use that much. Okay. Okay. Well, let's convert those into some fuel at least. Something. With crystal Arceus fuel, but I think I might also have some other fuel sources for us somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? Like, we could use uranium. We could also use deuterium and other things. Actually, looking at it, it doesn't really provide that much food. Fuel. Fuel is what I mean. Maybe we need to expand the dirt ship. I mean, it's in the title, so should probably deliver on what I'm promising, right? Run out of a bit of food, that's no problem. My character is virtually just living off of this pearl pea risotto, simply because of the amount it sort of regains your hunger at and how long it lasts before you become hungry again. And it's very easy to make, with one of the ingredients being rice, also meaning that it never, like half of the ingredients never deteriorate. Okay, so let's see. So we have these hydroponics tubing and plenty of dirt to go around. Now normally if you break a container in this game, all the items come popping out, but we've got a mod that allows you to move inventories that are full of stuff. Whoop. Ah. Just don't accidentally go into space without a HEV suit or whatever. Might find yourself floating in the empty void of nothingness. After all, the containers have to go somewhere. More dirt for the dirt ship. Eventually I'll go around and like build an actually nice looking ship though. But right now I can't build the things that I want in order to make that happen, so this is what we're stuck with. These containers can hold a lot of stuff. 300 inventory spaces worth, to be exact. And that's way more than you can in like vanilla. I think a container in vanilla does maybe 64 or something, like nowhere near as much. Which for the size of these bad boys is kind of ridiculous. They might actually do 100 something, and I could be wrong, but still far from 300 at least. And then we need to find... Actually, let's just go ahead and make some more hydroponics tubing, because it's dirt and advanced plastic. And every time you make one, you get like 10 or 20, I think, so even a few crafts gives you a lot of stuff to work with. Okay. And then we also need to till the soil still, which normally in Starbound you need to water your tilled soil in order for crops to grow. But these provide that water automatically onto them, so simplifying the process a little bit. And then let us... Yes. Let's take these energy thingy-majiggies. I just need to find them in here. There. Energy flower seeds. Just go crazy. And they take up 2 spaces, so you need a lot of room if you're planning it the traditional way, which this is traditional, and the untraditional being these hydroponics trays, which I have started on, but I needed fertilizer to continue on with it. And to even make the most basic fertilizer, I need something like a real world component called ammonium sulfate. Look in this lookup here. But in order to acquire this, I need to deconstruct other things. So, for instance, if I find umbral dirt, which I guess is on an umbral planet, you can put it in a sifter and then get it that way. Hey Alex, ready for some more ranting about the current job situation? How was the walk? Have a good time? Bloody warm. Yeah, tell me about it. What is it now? 23 degrees C out. When I was going to the job center, it was like between 25 and like possibly warmer than that even. So no, not really good time. 27 degrees for a really nearby storm. Oh god, so it's like warm and humid with high like air pressure. That's always the nicest combo, isn't it? It's like the walk down to the job center takes about half an hour, and I don't have like good footwear for long distance walks. Oh, well, I do, but my everyday footwear is not for like walks. It's these like relatively heavier shoes made out of like soft leather, so they don't like ventilate super well, and the fit isn't like snug, so your feet will punish you for taking longer walks with it. It's actually raining right now. I just got out inside. Oh wow. Okay. Yep. Wind still and dry as hell outside here. Well, we don't really have much of a choice. Kind of just have to crystalline planet maybe, because we've run out of fuel. Could go to a volcanic planet maybe. What can we find here? Aegis salt, solarium. Fauna Fred level 6 extreme. Let's see if we can do something here. Yeah, I haven't had any luck finding the desert planet before either. Or yet, I mean. Okay, we can make tier 6 armor. No, that's not tier 6 armor. This is though. Okay, so we need Solarium in order to make tier 6 armor. Wise man thinking hat. Or we upgrade trailblazing armor. Okay. So what can we make in here? Outrider. It's not the armor set I'm looking for, I don't think. Or maybe it is? There's like so many armor sets in this game that you kind of eventually need to start looking up specific things that you're looking for instead of browsing, basically. So say I needed to go to a planet that, like this volcanic planet, has a lot of fire related stuff going on. You'll be able to put in fire and then you find everything that has something to do with fire. So like resists 5% fire on this trailblazer Reeves. We need ferocium for that. I haven't played this game in a long time. I like it, but I also get very bored with it. Never touched modding though. Oh my god, Tumbles with like a party of 11. How are you lovely sausages doing? Hey Tumbling, how you doing? Let's see. Satellite is such a hard word to put out. Wait, you're playing Kerbal Space Program again. I thought that was supposed to be like a limited run thing. Oh well, I guess your community convinced you. How are you guys doing? Chat wanted some more. Yeah, figured they would. I mean, makes kind of sense, being that you have experience working with satellites. They kind of want to see more of that, right? Guess I'm playing like another kind of space game. Raid and run, but the pain in this tooth and radiating through the race is too much for me to bear. I'ma go lie down. Okay, have a good one, Tumbles. I'll take care of your people though. Assuming they're interested in watching some Starbound, that is. Which right now I'm actually dealing with like a bit of a situation because I'm a little bit unsure on where to go and we're out of fuel. This is Starbound, by the way. In case you've never seen this before. You might be familiar with Minecraft and Terraria, so this is very similar to that in a 2D platforming environment. So everything's like a block you can mine, except unlike Terraria, the idea is that the main difference being that you go to different planets instead of one. Starbound is great. Yeah, I play it on and off, like whenever we can. Or rather, whenever we feel like it more. Because it's one of those games where you can return to it on and off, and there'll be like new things to explore, especially with mods. Vanilla Starbound is a little bit lackluster, but modding this game does add a lot of more content to it, so to speak. So far today I've been looking for a desert planet with a particular sub-biome, but I have not been able to find it, so in order to switch it up, we're looking for something else now. In order to like help us progress. Because I've run out of money for fuel, and as such our only options are to either mine some more manually or just do something completely different entirely. So I'm just surveying these planets to see if any of them are interested. Like this is a moon, so we can see here an overview of what this planet consists of, or celestial object, I guess. So you can see like, oh, it's got a fauna threat level of 1, which is very low, and a climate threat of 2.1, moderate. Probably because it's a moon, so there's no atmosphere to breathe in. But those are mainly just used for gathering fuel, though. Okay, so we need to go to a coal planet, it seems. That makes sense, based off of what I know from the game. And this might actually be a planet that we can go to. But it being a coal planet means there are some environmental like aspects too that we need to consider. So it can have snow and blizzards. Temperatures are going to be really low, so we'll need to have like some kind of survival equipment. Let's look at what we have at our disposal. So I've got these EPP, Environment Protection something. And they all like have different capabilities, but I don't think I have I have this heating one. Okay, it is tier 2. So this will give us 40% ice resist, which will protect us against the environment. It'll also give us some oxygen, but that's not really necessary. And since you can augment these, and I have a augment that produces light, I'm just gonna rip that off another pack onto this one, and then let's see if we can survive on this planet. So this is like a server that's hosted by a friend of mine, and I think we're good. Yeah. So this is like a live server. IP is my friend over here playing as Ruru, and that means the server is running 24/7. Now, having talked with him about it, it sounded a little bit like, you know, if people really want to participate, we can maybe figure something out. But, you know, his main concern was that Starbound being as a server, like a little bit demanding. He didn't want like 1 billion people, you know, flowing in here. But I don't know how he stands on that at this point in time, because we're like both playing on it on and off based off whenever he has time. But it is set up to automatically update mods and such multiple times on a daily basis, so it's like hassle free. It's not like you have to wait for another, like for an entire day for someone to manually update the mods, which if you're new to Starbound modding is actually like a pretty big deal in this game as a server owner, because normally you would have to like download all the mods and manually drag the files over and stuff. Also, we are also doing stream raiders, so if you guys are interested in that, it's a link there. I'm kind of like right now just finishing off a map from the previous event and then before diving into the next one, but hopefully that'll be completed very soon. But yeah, so what we're looking for here are particular ores, which I think we've gotten some of. Oh, ferrovirium. That's also something I think we are gonna need later. But we're interested in Aegis alt ore and something called Violium, which I don't know if we have any, and Ferrocium. So Aegis alt, Ferrocium, and Violium. So a like purplish ore, a green ore, and yellow. No, that's the green one. And like a blue silverish ore. And anything else that we collect is like, you know, a bonus. But we're running like on a server with Fracking Universe, which is that's what the mod is called. It adds a lot of stuff to the game. It adds races with racial abilities. It adds more dungeons to explore, more things to craft, more armor, weapons, and it's basically like the best analogy I could probably make is playing Minecraft with a Technic pack or something, because it also adds an automation, so you can like make crushers that take stone to make it into powders, put those powders into sifters and get ore and all kinds of materials out of it. So yeah, just adds to the complexity, which again, baseline Starbound, little bit on the simpler side, let's put it that way. I should really be using these instead of my multi-tool. So these are like added by Fracking Universe and allow you to, well, it improves on the grind of getting resources. But yeah, in terms of space exploration, there's like so many things you can discover that are procedurally generated. So like, in comparison, like Starbound, right? No, sorry, Terraria. It's Terraria I'm thinking about. In Terraria, you have like one map that you play on, for even if you're running a server. Meaning that once someone loots a chest and has looted all of the chests of that kind, there's none left on the map. Speaking of chests, we have one right here. Some components. But on Starbound, because it's a procedurally generated universe with procedurally generated planets and all that, it's virtually infinite, right? Even the possibility of meeting another player dynamically, you know, not unlike No Man's Sky, is virtually impossible. You can aim for the same coordinates, like there are strict coordinates, so you could technically go to those. But from what I recall from the last time we played, there was like a big sort of but to that that way of doing, like trying to accomplish that. Because the universe is so big that even if you were to reduce your fuel cost to the highest and increase your jump range to the like highest distance you can jump, it's virtually impossible to travel the universe. Because I can't remember what I did back then, but I theory crafted like how long it would take to traverse the universe if you were just to like jump every single time and you had infinite fuel, which eventually you do get around to that point. It would basically take like a year or something to actually do all the jumps. It was ridiculous. So without like any other like tools like a jump gate or something to jump to specific star systems or like super far in one go, there wasn't really any feasible way to fly in the same solar system as someone else. Which is kind of good because like when one player discovers and starts mining out a planet, you know, it's a little bit annoying to come towards chest after chest and then realize they've all been opened. So, the way the game sort of works is that as an alternative, or how it's sort of intended, I guess, is that I can click on my friend here and then I can, if I'm on the surface or on my ship, just teleport directly to his place on his ship. So if he goes to a planet, say, and I go to his ship, I can beam down to that planet from his ship, and then we could build together on that planet and have a waypoint there that allows us to return. Granted, we won't be in orbit with our ships right next to each other, but we'll still both have access to the place. You can also make space stations. You can buy those and like put them into like specific locations in orbit in solar systems and stuff. Oh, there's a secret chest in here. But those are a little bit higher in-game stuff. They're not really like that special, it's just a base in space. But yeah, that's like the general gist. Normally with Starbound you also have like a predetermined ship size that you can acquire upgrades for. But with Fracking Universe it allows you the option to do something that's called BYOS, which stands for Build Your Own Ship. And it's just that, actually. It removes those prefabbed ships that are like preset in how big they can be, and it replaces that with, well, another preset ship, I guess, but it's all made out of blocks that are obtainable in the game, so you can like build any ship you want out of it. You could remove it completely too if you wanted to. Okay, let's check out stream raiders. You guys put down 22 units. Julio. Yeah, this one should be easy. We did get our asses handed to us on the previous map, and then the game decided to put in like not like 70% less units, so I'll just give us some haste so we can continue on to the next one. Amata, wow, that's a long username. Amata Maleficar VM, right? Yeah, that's an exclamation point. I think I'm just gonna call you Amata. Yeah. Thanks for the follow. Did you come in with Tumble's raid? Yeah, cool. Are you a regular over there? Also, you get some Musketeer scrolls. Congratulations. In Jerpy, you get some Healer scrolls. Yeah, it's like I was trying to get this map done before the event rolled out, since it's like the ancient boss or whatever, as far as I know. So as far as I know, yeah, this is a super boss chest, which is why I'm not skipping this map, because yeah, so we'll be like in a non-event specific map for a little bit, but it does have like a huge payoff in the end, hopefully. Okay, we've got a lot of toads here, so I suggest ranged units, and I can put down a mage, I think. Yes, actually, since we're doing that, let me just put down an artillery unit. Hopefully I'm not going to be completely demolished. Yeah, some kind of ranged units, usually the best against those guys, and then some buffers. And then some buffers, as in like tanky units that can soak up damage just in case they end up getting close. And let's just put that down now. A few melee units up here just to take out that rat. Just so that we don't get backdoored. And then I guess you can put down a rogue somewhere if you want to, but that usually just produces more units, so I don't know if that's a good idea, but you can. So what were you guys doing in Kerbal Space Program over on Tumble's stream? Because the last time I was over there, I think he said something along the lines that he would go to the Mun, and that was about it, from what I recall. So did we get anything interesting? So the weapons here are tier 5. We've got a mug hat. We're muggers. Oh god. Yeah, this, by the way, this game is a little bit silly, especially with mods. Oh yeah, that's another part of this game. Dress up the game. Because you can find so many vanity items in this game, it's ridiculous. And since you have vanity slots for all kinds of stuff, you can like customize your character greatly. I don't think I want to use any of those weapons though. For reference, we're currently using this spear, which used to be a tier 1 weapon, but I've upgraded it all the way to tier 6, which allows me to do this. Wow. Electric damage weapon. Not the best always, some enemies are immune to this damage type, but it's okay. And then we also have this bow, which I can right click. It allows me to shoot out multiple arrows. Crap, except when I'm out of energy. So there's the yellow bar on the top left. This guy is freaking strong. Die. Die, die, die. Then I also have like my friend gave me this weapon, which is a unique one. It's called Skittles, which is just as random as it sounds. So this weapon Yeah, it's a bit random. So normally weapons in this game shoot like very particular things. This thing just does whatever. And if I don't hold down shift, it just shoots like a bunch of crap all at once. Oh yeah, and it also puts all this text on screen at random. Even the description of it is really random. So if we look at it, it says instead of tier, it's a Yorp 4. It's two-handed. It doesn't tell us what damage type it is, like figures. As its description reads, there's no telling what this does. Primary fire grenades, alternate fire magnums, which is like an in-game like damage or weapon type. And then in terms of damage, it can do bumpy wards 28, whatever the frick that means. Screams 0.44444. And then it does ostriches 95, and its special is Greg. So all in all, a lovely weapon. My friends also told me that occasionally it can do this. Create diamonds on the ground for some reason. No idea. We also have a bow that is very useful actually. Let me just demonstrate that if I can find it. Here, I think this is the one. No, that's a blast arrow. Belt sticks, where is it? Light gun. Boop it up. Don't tell me I accidentally sold it. Nope, here it is. Short Love Bolter. So this has a special ability called a warp arrow. So like you can shoot with it normally, or forgot that was a like to drag. You can teleport yourself by shooting the arrow, and then you get like put in where the arrow sort of lands. The hell did I just pick up? The uncat hat. Should I wear this? Smells like green eggs and ham. Is this a dead cat? Literally having a dead cat on my head. That's a little bit morbid. Okay, moving on. Just ignore that. Trying to get some more of those valuable materials, instead of mucking around. Die. Oof. So some things that Fracking Universe changes is it adds more like environmental effects to the game. So normally there's not a lot of stuff in terms of terrain that manipulates your ability to traverse it. But with Fracking Universe, as an example, if you walk on ice, you'll notice it's very slippery unless you have armor that prevents it, which is another thing that it adds in. Running on mud will dampen your ability to jump high and run fast. Getting in contact with slime makes you super bouncy and just jump everywhere uncontrollably. If you fall from great heights onto unstable surfaces like sand or mud as well, it has the potential, and most likely will, damage the terrain on which you land, depending on your fall height and stuff. And sometimes even like completely break the terrain. So it just adds like more variety, like, or not really variety. All the variety is there in vanilla Starbound, but it just makes them do stuff, I guess you can say. Because normal Starbound, you progress from one tier of planet to the next until you're eventually on the highest tier planet, and then nothing will ever, like there'll be no reason to return to a lower tier planet once you progress. Meaning that eventually 90% of the game becomes completely useless to you, like uninteresting. With Fracking Universe, it's a little bit different because there's not like a hard tier system for the solar systems in the game. So different planets will still have like particular compositions for different planet types and stuff, So if you go to a fiery star, you're more likely to find volcanic planets. If you go to a freezing star, it's more like, you know, freezing planets and wintry biomes and that kind of stuff. But then there's also like binary planets, which is more a random amalgamation of a lot of different places. And as a result, it means that you can get a forest biome that is higher than tier 1, which is the lowest difficulty tier, which is kind of nice because it means this guy has a quest that I'm probably not interested in. The last place I saw him was underground. Nah, decline. But it kind of just means that there's like the potential of utilizing all the different biomes. Like there's reason to go to a planet that has a biome makeup of like a lower tier planet simply because there are higher tier versions of those, right? And similarly, if I remember correctly, there's also a lot of the normally higher tier planets that can also be found as like lower tier variants. So if you're looking for a particular type of planet, but you're looking around and you don't feel quite prepared for like the hard version of it, you can maybe find a lower tier version that might be more in line of how strong your current gear is and that kind of stuff. So just like adds a lot more to like using what's already there in the base game. And that's kind of why I don't like playing vanilla Starbound, because you can basically speedrun it within like a single session if you know what you're doing. I've tried to do it just for the sake of trying to prove a point at some point in time, but unfortunately I got distracted. And the general gist is that if you take out grinding for resources, the base game has barely a few hours worth of content that doesn't, you know, involve grinding for resources. Which is not a lot. So if you don't like grinding resources, don't play the base game. Kraken Universe also adds like new dungeons and things to explore in random world gen though. So it even expands upon the vanilla story as far as I can remember. Like it reuses some of the characters introduced there into new missions that you can go and discover and then subsequently do. And they also have their own associated rewards, of course, so it's not like, you know, they're not just there for looks. And then the added game mechanics, God, the added game mechanics, so good. Beyond the automation, there's also just a bunch of gadgets and fun things to play around with. Like if you've ever played Unreal Tournament, you'll know that those games have the translocator. Well, that's in Starbound now with Kraken Universe. And for anyone who don't know what a translocator is, it's basically Unreal Tournament's answer to the portal gun. So the idea is that you shoot this disc with left click, and whenever you right click, you teleport to the location of wherever that disc is. So what that allows you to do is you can shoot the disc through narrow spaces that you normally can't traverse. You can shoot it up to like, you know, insurmountable objects and that kind of stuff. And then you just teleport yourself across, which is kind of cool. And you can make that in here. Oh god. Oh god. Don't drown in the snow, please. Come on. So yeah, that's kind of like just some of the stuff that you can expect with Kraken Universe. And it's definitely something I would recommend like exploring for yourself. Oh, I should probably mention this too. So if you're not interested in playing on a public server, or you know, it's you know, it's not really a public server, it's invite only and stuff. But on my Discord I have actually shared the collection. So if you're interested in trying the particular mod setup, It's in here. It's called Space Exploration. Let me just copy paste that into chat as well in case you're watching and wanting to give it a go for yourself. And that is the one that we're currently using for anyone curious to see what it's all about. And you'll notice that there's a lot of stuff in there, in the mod pack that is, but like 80% if not more is literally just a bunch of patches, since we have a lot of mods that add like individual races to the game, and they're not all like harmoniously patched in dynamically. So every time you have certain races and you want specific integrations, you need a subsequent separate patch, right? Which basically means if you add 10 separate races in there, you might need 10 separate patches, and that's already 20 mods added to the list. So but it adds a lot of quality of life to Wrecking Universe as well, and just make things work a lot better together. Me and my friend, we've played this mod pack before, so when we started on it again recently, like this is like our second go at it, I didn't really end up having to change anything other than remove a single mod. Which basically, what I'm trying to say with that is that we've tested it. Like we've gone to endgame with this mod pack before, so you shouldn't expect like major issues other than maybe at most a few very rare crashes that doesn't result in your game files being deleted or anything, right? So there's nothing to worry about in that regard. Like we've never had that happen, at least. And as far as I can tell, there's literally no performance impact either in the game. Like I used to oh, this is a bad guy. It's like, what the hell? I used to have a bit of performance issues with Starbound in the past, and I was just too lazy to look into trying to fix it. And what was the solution again? So basically what ended up happening would be that you would be playing the game, right? And then very frequently you'll get these micro stutters where the game would freeze and lock up for like a split second before continuing. And I was originally attributing that to like, oh, it's just because it's modded. But after looking it up, it turns out that that's just vanilla Starbound. And there's a fix for it, though I can't remember what it was. Oh right, I remember now. And it's not a solution that everyone can like implement, but it basically just involves putting Starbound on an SSD. Since the reason why you get the micro stutters is because it's trying to load data and it's capped at your transfer rate for your hard drive. And since Starbound is like an asset heavy game, I guess, ouch. It kind of needs to load a lot of assets within a short time frame and stuff. And that kind of just overloads your hard drive, even just playing the vanilla game apparently. But as soon as you put it on an SSD, those micro stutters just disappear and it runs smoothly. Die, you floating thing. Ow, fuck. Sorry about that. Nothing I can do, but those make like really loud sounds. I keep getting like freaked out myself over it, so you're not the only ones if that gave you a shock. Just know that whenever we're fighting those floating things, they might spontaneously go and it's very loud. Get out of this oil. Giving us a slow debuff. So we're picking up these pala fruits, pristine, fresh and delicious, so we can just eat these directly, which will give us slowness, but they are filling, so we're not going to really eat those. Because we've got 82 Violeum or 117 Aegis Salt, and Where's the last one? There. 117 for Roshan. Okay, and it's 2 ores per bar, so I don't know if we should go for 200, then we should be good for a little while. Might as well. It's not really like it's a big deal, you know, you just return back to the surface of the planet and keep digging. Oh yeah, and soft blocks like these function just like in Minecraft if you disturb them. Just like Minecraft sand, I mean. It just creates like an avalanche of sand or gravel or snow or whatever it may be. Oh, there's like an enemy here. Go away. God, these mining lasers are so nice. Oh, we're going down. I think it's better if we stay down here. Starbound world gym is a little bit funky because they're very like predictable, let's put it that way. Especially certain planets are extremely predictable, meaning that the entire surface layer is going to be like a chunk of just almost solid terrain with maybe a few tunnels, and then there's going to be like a huge belt, like a belt that'll go around the entire circumference of the planet. That's just going to be like a giant cave. Essentially meaning that if you dig down to that level and you're unaware and you just drop into the void, you're gonna fall really, really far. And if you don't have like the timing, and especially if you can't see anything because you might not have a light source or something, you're gonna hit the ground really hard and just splat out. There's also some planets they have like increased gravity. I don't think necessarily this one has increased gravity, but it, as you expect, makes you fall faster. so that can also catch you off guard for sure. Okay. You might have noticed that the lighting in this game is like really cool. Like it's very, very good for this kind of game, in my honest, humble opinion. They basically, or if you don't know, actually also, maybe I should mention this. If you've played Terraria, but never heard about or played Starbound, I'm actually a little bit surprised because Starbound was basically... So it's published by Chucklefish, which is a company name you might sort of recognize if you've played other games like Stardew Valley, because it's published by them as well. But basically, one of the people behind Terraria went on to found Chucklefish, as far as I understand the story, and they went on to make Starbound, right? And then in the process of that, they sort of started publishing other titles as well, such as Stardew Valley, and other similar games that are like pixel arty games, I guess you can call them. Like they're all like very similar in terms of the overall art style that they do. So as far as I also know, the guy behind Stardew Valley is, what is he called again? I can't remember. Concerned Ape, I think he calls himself. Has nothing to do with like Starbound, right? Or any of the other games necessarily published by Chucklefish, which confused me at first. But then, like, you know, I read the story and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And the reason why I like even heard about Stardew Valley way before it was even released and was looking forward to it is because of Starbound, actually. Ow. Since on the Starbound's webpage, Chucklefish would essentially have like hyperlink banners going to other sites in like their ecosystem or whatever you want to call it. So they were linking to like Stardew Valley, which itself was also linking to other Chucklefish published games. Games that I've never played or even like looked into, but that was like how I first heard about Stardew Valley myself. It's a bit of interesting. peculiar trivia, I guess. So I guess you can call me a hipster if you want. I knew about Stardew Valley before, it was cool. And before it was like all over the all over YouTube and stuff, which happened like a long time after it first got released, from what I could tell. Floppy fancy hat, not really my style. I don't think I'm gonna use that. Yeah. But yeah, they basically took, I assume they took the Terraria engine and then they expanded upon like the lighting system and a lot of stuff. Which is why the games are very similar in how they feel in a lot of ways. The art style is slightly different though, like it's still very comparable, but the level of detail, let's put it that way, is a little bit less so for Terraria, because they don't, like, their assets are much smaller, so they don't have as much space to squeeze in the pixels to make things that look highly detailed. Whereas this is like, you know, even the character is much larger. In Terraria you're a 2x6. In this I think you're a 2x4 by default. Yes. And then this being an extension of Terraria allows for a lot of stuff. So here we found like a teleporter going to a challenge portal, so let's do that. They usually have like rewards that you can get that tend to be worth it, but they're random, so seems like this is going to be just an enemy gauntlet, and hopefully they don't completely screw us over. Ow, ow, ow. I said too much. Oh, fiddlesticks. Oh, that's so many enemies. Oh, holy crap. Humanoid enemies are always the worst because they can have literally any weapon in the game. Or, you know, still subject to the random generation, but some of the weapons do way more damage than others. And the race that I'm playing is a deerfolk, and one of their traits, let's say it, is that they have negative 20% physical resistance. So anything that's considered a physical bullet that doesn't have an elemental effect attached to it just really, really hurts. Subsequently, what is this? Well, I think I do gain an additional 20% fire resistance though, so you know, it's not all bad. I also gain bonuses to spear and bow weapons, which is why I'm using those. Aha, and we can also turn into a morph ball similar to Metroid to get this extra treasure chest, which is another really cool aspect of Starbound generally speaking, is that you have like a lot of I guess you can say trophy in some sense, like typical platforming abilities that are like squeezed in here in the form of these technologies. So you can get like double jump, but you can switch that out to a completely different type of jumping as well. Let me actually just show you what I mean. That's probably easier. So Fracking Universe allows this. This is not something you can do in vanilla, but well, you can do it, but you would normally need to go out of your way to like a station and stuff. But we can look at our tech equip here. These are the current technologies I've got equipped. So you can like exchange these for others. So right now, if I double click in like left or right, I sprint, but you can also make that an air dash. So if I do that instead, so now I can like kill myself. Trying to demonstrate that. That was like such a smooth move. But I can basically double dash in the air now. Unfortunately, you can only have one of each enabled at a time, but anything else than that would be a bit OP. I prefer the sprint ability though. For the sphere, I can also get this distortion sphere, which is like the other one, but you can jump with this one, and you can put down these bombs, a little bit like Samus can in Metroid, which is obviously where they like took the inspiration. And it seems like it was also launching me all kinds of places. I prefer the spike sphere though, because it allows you to go, as you would imagine, upside down, so it sticks to things. It's a little bit slower than the others, but you know, it allows you to get into places that you normally could not. With Fracking Universe, it also expands upon that, as you can imagine, so you gain way more tech options, one of which is a morph ball that, instead of being a 2x2, is a 1x1, which is even required in some places in order to get in. Oh yeah, and another big part of Starbound in general is your ability to scan stuff. So every single interactable object, be it a storage device or decorative, or like these chandeliers which I can turn on and off, they can be scanned with this scanning mode on the matter manipulator, and most things when scanned allows you to make a copy of it. And that's how you like sort of get into like a semi-creative mode in this. So because there's just so many decorative items in the game, instead of forcing you to like handcraft it and farm resources, you can make copies instead. And you use the currency in the game, which is called pixels, to do that, which is this stuff here. You can get those either this way, killing enemies, have it spawn in for like random world gen stuff, or even sell stuff even to traders and merchants around the universe. Which means all these weapons that we're acquiring, I could sell those for pixels to use on like building my ship up, for instance. Anyways, got some stream raiders to take care of here. Okay, so I kind of think we should do high ground for that increased range damage. And then hopefully those toads are going to be no match for our army of ranged combatants. We're getting a little bit distracted by the ants, but they are mostly taken care of now. But yeah, they do that whole jumping in and then they insta-give whatever tries to like mess with them. The range units take them out no problem. They have a lot of hit points after all. Yeah, that was nice, sweet, and short. Mata, you get a bomber scroll, and Jerpy, you also get a bomber scroll. And I do randomly distribute those rewards, because I've noticed that Stream Raiders tends to like prioritize people that are active in chat over random people. So if you're active and considered active, by the way, in chat, there's a pretty high chance of you getting the rewards over any other people that might be participating even. And since I don't tend to have that many viewers, it's like a good way to guarantee rewards almost. Okay, so there's a lot of high level worms. And as soon as they become like higher level, they end up sort of doing a lot of damage. Not individually, but as like a combined force. And that is usually one of the things that gets people killed, that is. So there's a few ways you can do that. Deal with it. You can like do brute force. Now let me put this down first. You can do brute force, or you can try and counter them, of course. And one of the best ways to counter them is either going in with a unit that gets range resistance, right? Or take them out by range, of course. Or assassins can also occasionally like do a good number on them. If anything, assassins can also help distract them, so do consider the terrain though. That also slows you down. We might want some kind of melee units around here. And I tend to like try and put down, like I've started putting down some more plans to help you guys complete goals and such. quest lines, quest stuff, but also to try and direct you a little bit. You don't have to listen to it, but like it's just a guideline. So it's just for there to like try and direct you guys. So you can say screw it and just override any of my like strategic considerations if you want. Or of course you can also write in chat if you have like better insight into how the game works. Like especially when you're going from one like event into another one, it definitely helps having someone tell me like if there's like a specific thing to be considerate of. Okay, this is a bit of a problem. So those little pyramid head pets or whatever creatures they are a electric element, and my spear does electric damage, so that's why I have a bow. I can only shoot like 2.5 salvos worth of arrows before the enemies, or before my energy runs out, so you know, it's not that great, I found at least. Bows are also really tricky to handle in this game because, one, they use a lot of energy, as I said, but they also get like this weird damage bonus effect when you shoot them from the air. Meaning that if we look at this bow, it'll say all the damage per shot and such, but then on the second last line it'll say airborne damage multipliers 1.25, meaning that you essentially get 25% increased damage by shooting the arrows while being in the air. Like essentially forcing you to make the shots more difficult at the prospect of increased damage. Which is, let's say, from a weapon that's already difficult to use to begin with, is a little bit annoying, to say the least. Okay, I don't think we want to go any deeper. We want to stay around this level here. Okay, actually, let's just see. We've got 200 Aegis Salt, 159 Erosion, and still 119 Violium. Okay. Maybe a little bit more Violium here. I think we're about ready to return to the surface and see what we can make out of this. Hopefully some better armor. Which, armor in this game also improves your combat capabilities more than just, you know, increased resistance and and hit points. It does actually also increase your energy pool, and it also increases your damage output, believe it or not. So yes, equipping a higher tier armor set makes you do more damage. Which is a very interesting way of doing things. Because it's like sort of a way to like, say, you're progressing from one like difficulty tier planet or whatever to another, but you've not been fortunate enough to get like a better weapon, and the weapons you can craft might not be good enough to warrant the switch. So you've gotten like the materials for the next tier armor set though, and that will allow you to also still increase your armor damage output at least. So it's like a backup system. And then when you do find another weapon, you know, then that effect gets even more significant. Which at that point, like, you shouldn't have any issues with walking around on that particular tier planet. But as I said a little bit earlier, I am a deerfolk on this character, which is just one of many races. And if we look at our personal tricorder here, we can actually see a little racial traits overview for the deerfolk. These herbivores, pacifists, are among the fastest of the known races. They are full of vitality, if a little fragile. So for one, being a deerfolk means that we're herbivore, so our diet means that we can't eat anything that involves meat, basically. And there's a lot of food in the game, so that is actually very relevant. So our perks are that we're moving 15% extra speed, which is a very, very cool thing to have. We gain an additional 30% resistance towards ice, okay, and 20% electric. And then coincident, for some reason we're also great traders, so we get like 15% better trade deals. And then if we're in these particular biomes, we get an additional bonus. So if we're in like a lush or forest, primal rainforest, savanna, tundra, and snow biomes, we gain an additional 10% physical resistance and increased defense. And then there's a list of what weapons we get bonuses to. One of them being spears, and bows is another one. And then the weaknesses, like we have negative 20% poison, fire, and physical resist. Okay, so it's actually reduced, so I got that wrong. Not increased. And what that, for instance, means in a practical sense, other than you take more damage from these, it actually also means that if we were to go to a volcanic planet, we need additional fire resistance in order to stick around without burning to death, simply because of our race. And of course, a lot of the enemies on those planets also dealing fire damage means that those planets in general are just going to be more difficult for us to deal with. And there's, like, as I said, a lot of races, and they all have different like perks and disadvantages. For instance, you can be a Eldukar, which is a fracking universe native race, which is what I played on my last playthrough, which is why I'm mentioning them. And they're a dragon type race, so like a humanoid dragon, not to be confused with a draconic, which is another race from another mod. But the Eldukar are like full dragon people, right? As opposed to having human-like traits and skin color and that kind of stuff. And they're like very different. They get like, they have like this special thing with crystals going for them, where starting out, at least last time I played, you got like some crystal seeds, which you can still acquire without, it's just much more difficult. They get bonuses towards a specific brand of weapon, like a specific type of weapon, not just like, you know, a specific like archetype, so like say spear, great axe, daggers, great sword, or whatever, but rather something called Lunari, which is like saying, okay, iron weapons is another type of group, right? So Lunari is basically weapons made out of Lunari crystals. So all weapons made with that Lunari tag or whatever, because they're crystal based weaponry, you get bonuses. They're not high tier weapons though, so eventually you'll have to upgrade them further through other means, instead of like making higher tier weapons if you want to go that route. But that's just like one major difference. Another being that they get a specific racial trait eventually, optionally, which allows you to fly, which is super strong, because it basically uses no energy, so you can fly indefinitely to the point where you can actually stand still in midair, wherever you may please. And the only thing that costs energy is moving at an increased speed in the air. Super useful for building things, traversing planets, and avoiding fall damage, of course. There are other races like the Avali, which have transcended beyond Starbound into other games. You can get them in RimWorld too, by the way. Which is like, I don't know if they're like, I don't know where they originate from, to be honest. I don't know if it's like a thing that originated in Starbound. I am led to believe that it is, but I've never really investigated further. But they're like a very highly detailed race, like in terms of lore, in terms of like how they function wherever they're used in other games and mods. But they get another completely different, like, unique tech a little bit earlier on, I think, even, which is that they can glide, They can't fly, but they can glide down from places, effectively also avoiding, you know, fall damage. But it's just like so cool that all the races are like so different that depending on what race you choose, it kind of, you know, it defines your playstyle, or it potentially like creates a playstyle that you can go for. You can't also just say like, oh, I'm just going for vanity and just using whatever, but it's there for sure. Like, you know, the deer folk, again, going back to this, has motivated me to try out using bow and spear more than I normally would. Like normally my default go-to weapon type is greatswords, just because I like the way how they function and the kinds of abilities they can get. But spears are a little bit different, and they also have their own pros and cons. Avali started out as a creature in Spore? Really, Castgen? Wait, cast gender lass. Cast gender lass? Can I just call you Cass? Is that fine? So like, oh, we're talking about the game by Maxis, right? EA Spore, right? Yeah, that works. Okay. Really? I've played a ton of Spore. The first time I heard from about the Avali was in Starbound, which, you know, is pretty rad. And also, this is a fucking weird ass biome. This is like candy cane mountain stuff. God damn it, freaking modders and their weird ass stuff. Okay, let's go up to the spaceship, the dirtiest one you'll find in this side of the galaxy. Like, it's literally made out of 90% dirt at the moment. I do really like the overall design of the Avali. So I guess, so what is the Avali then? Is it like someone's OC from Spore and they just like decided to turn it into mods or something? Because I mean, surely it wasn't like a default thing in the Spore creature pool, like in the base game, I mean, right? Wasn't made officially by Maxis, right? Ah, yes, and here's like our alternate new fuel source, energy flowers. Well, someone's custom thing, yeah. Now that's kind of cool how it went from Spore into like, you know, being more than that. And Starbound is like such a cool place for them to be because spacefaring, like, I don't even know what would you even call the Avali. They're kind of weird. My friend actually has like his ship is like the Avali reset build your own ship thing from Starbound's Wrecking Universe stuff. Instead of dirt though, he's used wood on top of his thing. Hello. Looks like someone's working on their ship. But yeah, like the quality of all the Avali mod for Starbound is just so freaking good though. I think the Starbound mod blew them up into popularity, and after that a whole bunch of other offers picked up and elaborated on them. Yeah, I mean, no surprise. I don't even know like who made the Avali mod for RimWorld. I've looked at it, but I haven't quite tried it yet. I considered adding them, but they're like a Spacer Tech faction, as far as I recall. I'm also a little bit worried that, you know, being such a special thing, RimWorld modders that add races, they tend to add like all this other unnecessary bloat into their race mods. Like custom weapons that do way too much damage, armor that is just way too durable, that kind of stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. I do also play RimWorld, by the way, in case you were wondering. I just haven't played for a very long time, ever since 1.3 came out. Mostly because I've been waiting for mods to update. The story goes that I was supposed to like start a medieval RimWorld of Magic run right around the time 1.3 like sort of got announced. and that basically broke all my plans completely apart. But I've slowly been working towards getting that up and running, keeping an eye out for mods to update. But man, is that like been a lot of work. Right now, the only thing that I'm really missing though is the Dragon's Descent mod, which is not that necessary. It could be added mid-save as well, but I really like to have the dragons around. Like, nothing says high fantasy more than having a bunch of dragons raid your, like, man-hunting dragons, potentially even raiding your settlement and absolutely wrecking you. So, but if I have to play without that, so be it. Currently though, I'm working on, like, I got into RimWorld modding recently, so as a result, I've sort of picked up on how to make my own custom patches for things, which means that for my current setup, I have a lot of custom patches made already. So for instance, one of the things I can do now is make crossbows out of different kinds of metals instead of usually RimWorld mods that add ranged weapons. Even crossbows will only allow it to make them out of one type of material. But I've now made my own patches that allow them to be made out of, like, anything metal, really. And I recently made my own metals mods. So there's gonna be a lot of variety. You can definitely expect that to be a thing. Do I want to keep any of these weapons? Usually the answer to that is no, and I think I'm gonna stick with that. So what I'm doing is that I'm putting them in this box, which is currently not hooked up to anything, but I think I want to do that actually. And this might be a little bit confusing for you, but just understand that the general gist of what I'm currently gonna be messing with shortly is, if I can afford it, electromagnet. It's basically like Minecraft automation, but nothing too crazy. You build a research computer, good thing to feed into it is those random gen weapons you find tons of. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing, Cars. Like, that's actually exactly what I'm doing. We do need an electromagnet though. It's just this thing. Like, I've played Fracking Universe before, but it's like several years ago, and when we returned, the whole research system had changed. Like last when we played, the only part that was in the research tree, which is used to unlock things now, was the metaphysics part. Like, this thing was only the only thing there. So all of this, like, unlocking stuff to progress, was not a thing. And I definitely think that's an improvement. Used to sell them, but then I realized I can make way more pixels from agriculture. Well, we have another way of also making, like, a lot of currency. Can't still remember what mod it comes from. I think it's from the Draconis or Draconic or whatever the heck the race is called. Which I don't know if you've been looking for that long, but I did mention that if you're curious, the mod collection is linked in my Discord in a Starbound specific tab. So if you're curious and want to try this for yourself, then there it is. And that goes for everyone, of course. Really available. And this is on a live server too, but it's hosted by a friend of mine, so I don't have any authority to just hand out, like, server information to everyone. I did make the item transference device. Goody good. I've had this hooked up before, but had to pull it apart because I needed that item since still relatively early game. Oh shit, where did it go? Crap. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we want to take this into this, which means we need to filter this. So output only into this output slot 1. Can take it from anywhere. And it's this output going in there, going into this input. There we go. So now basically what I've done is that this, and this is a cool thing about Spirit, you can use them as like pointing devices, right? So this item transference block, items transference device, is just like a logics thing that tells the game that, hey, take stuff from this box here and shove it into the computer whenever there's room for it. But and the filter I set was just because we only want it into the input slot, which is slot 1. If I didn't do that and took out this research, it might accidentally start putting things into the output slot. And what this does is that it basically takes all these weapons and other items that are relevant, and like Cos was like hinting at, breaks them down into research, which is a resource used to unlock new recipes. And you can basically like take all the trash weapons and such that you're never intending on using and put them to use that way. Alternatively, you could also just sell them, but which is what you would do in the vanilla game most likely. Seems to be more of a thing there. And I also collect vanity stuff, because why not? Okay, so let me just go up and grab some more of these. So I've been like experimenting with these from Cracking Universe, these energy flowers, because you can shove these directly into your fuel hatch for the ship, and you can use them to actually power the ship. So instead of going to a moon and manually harvesting stuff, I can technically take this directly in there. It's not a lot though. A lot of the time I spend a ton of time building, so I never really have much problem with research. Right now I have like 200,000. Jeez. Yeah. You want to see something, Cos, and I guess the rest of chat. Didn't I think I posted it on my Discord as well. Yes, I did. So let me just share this with you guys. I think the easiest way is to open the original. So this is the ship I built on the last playthrough me and my friend did. Yeah, that took a while, and as you can probably tell if you look on the left of this, I never ended up finishing it. I was very happy where this was going though. And it's using like so many things from so many mods, it's ridiculous. But I was trying to go with like a dragon theme, as you can maybe tell from the shape of this captain's area, but that little section kind of just like, if you don't know that that was the intention, it just disappears in like this craziness, all this greebling and stuff. Like, oh man, this took, how long did, I think this took me like a week to build, you know, going back and forth on like how to do certain parts or like what to use and such. And it's all, a lot of this is like almost purely functional too. A little bit of vanity, like this little captain's quarters up here with my own hot tub and toilet looking into freaking space. I really enjoyed that, making that detail. All the doors are hooked up to sensors too, so they automatically open and close when you go near them. Got like a bit of display of some of the armor sets back then that I used. The progression, this is like, for reference, this is around endgame where I'd done everything that was kind of worth doing. I also tried making like some custom build turrets up here, which I think, like, you can of course judge yourself, but I think this went pretty okay. Got like a little recreational area on this ship, like a little bar and stuff down here, and then like an actual kitchen up on this left. in the cafeteria of like a dancing girl and stuff. Like a hologram nonetheless. Going left from here. Oh yeah, we also have like some bathroom doors. There's also like a few secret accesses. So you have a few fuel purifiers there. Yeah, you're referring to these things down here. I could basically go anywhere at like no cost. And I had virtually endless amounts of fuel. There's also like a few secrets in here, like if you jump down into this freezer room, which is what this is supposed to be, you'll notice these like this is like a secret wall that'll disappear and you just can't see it happening. There's also these doors from the Elysian Races mod, which is like a short range teleport. So this door up here is connected to this down here. Similarly over here, this door up on this upper floor is connected to the one below. So you can go like between floors fairly easily. But yeah, as you can tell, like growing zone area with a few hydroponics trays for speeding up things, and my dirt thrusters because I needed speed. And again, the ship was under construction at this point. Going down from there, you get into like the automation setup with a lot of sifters, which we also have on this ship, of course. We have one down here right now that is semi-automated. Not entirely though, but it's fairly okay. Doobie-doop. And just a bunch of like storage and stuff. Even like a little simulated duck McScrooge or whatever the heck he's called in English. Like gold pit, because Dragon needs to have a gold hoard somewhere. The unfinished engine room here in the back, which produces also power for all the machinery on board, which is the main thing that it actually does. And well, if you go to the bottom deck, that's like the cargo facility with like all kinds of stuff, like you know, samurai armors, African spears, containers containing all kinds of stuff. So basically like all the hoarding syndrome stuff that you could imagine. And then of course like a massive hatch that does open out into space. There's like conveniently a platform that goes across the top place here, so you can put stuff on this, as you can see, and walk across it no problem. And then of course there's this mess up here, which is just like a giant room dedicated to all the craft stations I had access to, which couldn't even fit in that room, so we have some more on the right here. And of course the teleporter room in here. So yeah, that's like a brief tour of the entire facility. My favorite part is the Shell God vending machine stacked on top of storage lockers. Oh right, where is that even? Oh yeah, here. That thing. Yeah, that we added the Shell God mod as like mid through the whole thing, so we didn't really get too far in it because we were basically into endgame by the time that we had access to all that stuff, so we didn't really mess around with it too much. I think it was also fairly, like, it was, I seem to recall it was actually a newer thing on the workshop too when it happened, when we introduced it. So beep beep, I'm dying. Let me just click on and eat something. There we go. Okay, I think we're doing okay on stream raiders though. But yeah, my friend's ship was also pretty impressive. He'd built like a gigantic pyramid. He was playing as the Avali, as far as I recall. And he just built his entire ship up like a huge pyramid, which also had all the crafting facilities and everything in it. And we'd started building a space orbital base, but like there wasn't really any point in doing it other for the sake of vanity, so we didn't get that far. Automatically you get a barbarian scroll, Pyro gets 50 coins, and Snaxel gets 2 healer scrolls. Okay, let's move on to the next. And I think this is unfortunately going to be the last fight for today. It was a little bit of an impromptu stream today because I came home and I was like feeling so down that from what I had to do earlier today that I just needed a distraction. And as a result, it's now almost 8 p.m. and I haven't eaten dinner yet. So I basically woke up, got breakfast, got home, chugged an energy drink, which is almost empty, and just booted up the stream. But that's okay. What should we put down though? Screw it. Let's do a wall beast. Let's try and stick together on this one. And I'm not really gonna direct you. I'm gonna trust you on this one, see what you come up with, you guys. Just to make it a little bit interesting. Yeah, that's that was my old save. It's actually still, like, I can still load it, but I don't really know much more than that. But it's very impressive that I can still load this save without the entire game just having a seizure. So that is very convenient indeed. And I was very pleased to see that when we returned to Starbound that you got multiple options on your starting ship instead of just the default one, because that was kind of what we were left with back then. All right, let's smelt something. And I have this automated, if I recall. So I just need to chuck my ores in here and they automatically get sent onwards. I just need to filter out the ores that are actually compatible, as to not clog the system, of course. So normally you would go to like a structure that is like I've got like a furnace on top on the other deck of the ship. You can smelt these directly, but with Fracking Universe adding these processing machines, there's a little bit of ore doubling syndrome in there where you can get more out of the resources if you smelt them through a machine. And is this even on? Surely this can process Aegisalt, right? Right. Let's just look up here. Okay, the battery up here is full. Don't tell me it can't process Aegisalt. That would be kind of anticlimactic. We can look up this lab directory here. Oops. Aegisalt ore as input. Nope. We cannot. Okay. That's actually a thing I've been a little bit uncertain about. Because there's this research now where you need to like unlock the recipes, but do you need to do that in order to craft the stuff at the actual facility as well? I think you can hook up a timer to a capacity sensor to detect a clog. The chest doesn't get new items for 3 seconds. The system is either clogged or running out of stuff to process. Yeah, you could do that. I could also just not be lazy, I guess, and put in like a category filter. That might probably work. If I put in like go into this chest, which is like the staging area, like the temporary storage where it gets filtered in, but you need to do more than just, of course, transport it across, which I can get to in a moment. But I believe if I put this in there and say category, so item 1, that's item 1, and say category. Let's just try this. Yeah, see, so now it won't transport it across. So if I put Aegisalt in there, it does consider it an ore, so what it basically happens is that, yeah, this won't help. So I am taking stuff from this box, I'm putting it up through this thing here, this stack splitter, which what it does is that it takes an item stack as an input, and then it splits it up into hundreds, into tens, and into ones. And then I take the hundreds and the tens from here into this box to the right, which is why when you look at the stacks here, they're all like 500, 100. This was 130, of course, 40, etc. And then the last like segment here gets chucked into this box. And the reason why is because you need 2 ore in order to make 1 bar. So as to prevent the system from clogging, I'm basically just taking out, you know, at most 9 ores, right? Because that would be less than 10. And they just get put up here. Then at any point when this gets full, I can take that into my inventory, and this is consequently also where the output of the electric furnace goes anyway. So then I can take the ores from here and technically put it back into the box manually. And then it gets, you know, sorted automatically as well. Assuming that you have the room for it. Yeah, so ferrovarium ore is not an ore, so that's like another thing that's not compatible. Now, fortunately, you cannot search in your own inventory, which is something I've always wanted to be able to do. But no, we cannot. But yeah, I'm contemplating, is it because I don't have the associated research? So I don't have this one. Now I do though. I think ferrovarium is from Illifian races. Don't know what it's used for though. Same. I don't remember. And then superior metals, solarium, pyrite, isogen, and then cinium ores are all remarkable. Got the research. Might as well get it. Yeah, this is like the next tier, but we're not there yet. We're still here. See, the other thing that might be relevant here is if I go into... Trying to remember, I think it's electronics. Yes. I can eventually research this thing, this blast furnace, and my guess is... Yeah, I can smelt up to rare ores. Ah, that's where it is. So I need the blast furnace. That is why. That is why. To make this I need advanced alloy, which coincidentally is made out of the bloody ores that I'm trying to process in the first place. So what we'll do is that we'll just take those out and then process them manually into advanced ingots here. No wait, that's not even those. Right, that's the previous tier. Crap. Which is kind of shite for me because I don't have that much in store anymore. But yeah, as Kaz, you might also notice that our inventories, I don't know if you play with this, but we've got a mod on here that basically splits up your items into more categories, and it also increases your inventory size because by God is there a lot of stuff when you start modding this game. It's kind of overwhelming at times. Right, and this is the wrong box. What am I doing? We've got like a storage mod too that helps with this, that increases not only the capacity of inventories, but it also adds buttons like this convenient little thing. So like this automatically stacks whatever I had in my inventory of what's already here. But this thing actually needs to be moved somewhere else. Do have that inventory mod. It's almost mandatory for playing with Wrecken. Yes, and especially if you also got Illifian races and Shell God on top of that, right? Because they add so much content, it's ridiculous. Speaking of Illifian races, like earlier I was trying to find a desert planet with the biomes required to get the Avacan crafting components required to unlock their recipes, and I think I went to like 20 solar systems into like of course, plus 20 desert planets, and not a single one was listing the biome. So either I was just really unlucky, it's not listed for some reason, or I don't know. I don't know what else actually. But yeah, I kind of gave up on that plan. But I really like the Elysian race's construction system stuff, like, or build blocks, just because they're so versatile. It's also mostly a lot of which I used on that previous build I showed you. But yeah. Now add Arcana and Nightfall and the inventory starts feeling really cramped. I don't think I've seen those mods, so I don't even know what they do. But we were going for more like space stuff than Arcana. Sounds like magic stuff, right? Container. Here's another thing as well, the pixel printer eventually starting to lag the shit out of you if you're like getting into like a point where you've scanned a lot of stuff. Where do I put this sucker though? Guess up here is fine for now. There we go. Now that is what I call an inventory. So now we can try and like figure out what I should probably not carry around. One of the things that comes to mind are a lot of these crystals, which is a really handy way of making a lot of pixels very easily. I'll keep on me some more common crafting materials and like subcomponents, but for now I do want to also move a bunch of the stuff that's in that other box down there up here. I assume you're also playing with the I can't even remember what it's called, but it's like a storage mod that improves the it changes the size of storage inventories based off of how many blocks they take up, and then off of a formula like each tile they take up adds X amount of slots, which is why these cargo containers can have 300 in them, including that Avali container up there. It's so useful. It's ridiculous. Arcana's about magic. Nightfall is a Shell God-esque one. Mostly use Nightfall for the furniture and tile set it adds. Yeah. I was also looking into the Shell God stuff because they also add some stuff, if I remember correctly, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, that's like a lot of what you do in Starbound is make creative stuff. Sure, the mods, they add a lot of explorative content for you to just sort of discover, but for me at least, the main bulk of the game is just being creative and trying to build some cool stuff. Like the 3x2 wall storage lockers that I use, the storage matrix is cranked up to like 128 slots. So you've what you're talking about is the 100 slot storage lockers from Freaking Universe. Are those the one you're talking about? I mean, 28 spaces is not a lot extra, but it's something. Now, in here, these, right? These are the ones, 130 is what they do. They're the 2x3s that you're talking about, right? The default slot count is 56. Yeah, I only ever remember these being like at least 100 or something for some reason. That's the only thing I remember about them, being like super condensed. Oh, the ones you're talking about these, right? These up here that also have been expanded, right? Yeah, those usually don't have that. They have like, yeah, 56. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I was talking about the one from Frecken. Doobie-doo. But also just the ability to do this, like picking up the entire box of all its contents. That is like so freaking good. It was actually the main reason for even installing the mod, so. Get all of this stuff in here. And then the last. There we go. Oh yeah, also, I really like that they integrated the gnomes now into Fracking Universe, allowing you to make this gnome workshop. I don't remember them being a thing when I played last. And I also am pretty sure in vanilla they don't send out like small gnomes to attack you as well. Like they have those sort of robot things that are like giant mechs for a gnome. But now that they have those small squeaky like people come at you, is just fucking too funny to me. It's just so fun. Okay, so let me just contemplate for a second. So to continue, we needed those ores, and in order to make those ores, we needed the smelter. Still under electronics. Here. To make this, we needed more advanced alloy, of which we now have 6. To make more advanced alloy, we need something called circesium. And I cannot remember what kind of planets that drop on. So we'll just have to do this a little bit like touch and go until I hopefully find a planet that's relevant. So another thing costs, I guess, if I find a relevant planet. Well, these were not relevant. Like I'm also using a lot of patches that change like the information that you see on different planets. Are you doing the same? Yeah, different types, but usually go to mountainous ones. Mountainous ones are like more generic, aren't they? They're like high ore density, but usually at like some kind of, not cost, but putting you at some kind of disadvantage. They usually have like high gravity, and if you dig down too deep, you dig into like a huge void chasm of which you can't teleport out from. Amongst other lovely things. But yeah, like, are you also running the mods that give you this extended data stuff? Because if you're not, I'll highly recommend it. Yeah. Also, the enemies tend to be a little bit more nasty. Tend to have those ogres walking around that like kind of hurt. They tend to drop pretty good stuff though, at least, so, you know, it's right off. I think one of the last... Damn it. Always eating in this game. It's almost enough of a reason to to play as a Droden instead of anything else, so you don't have to eat. You could also play on a different difficulty, but meh. 196 fuel. Okay, that's definitely cheaper than what it was before. Very good. Okay, let's see what we have. I was eyeing the chromatic planet, but let's also check out this toxic one, maybe. That's not the toxic one, I don't think. No, that's a scorched one. No circesium here. None there either. And neither there. Okay. Got a tabula rasa down here. Reject food, return to Florin. The deer folk, like, ironically, The default ironically used the same default ship as the Florins. Which is kind of funny for anyone that doesn't know. Florins are basically like humanoid carnivorous plant people that have tribal societies throughout the galaxy. Frozen volcanic? How is this even possible? Science is at a loss to provide an explanation. This is like just a clusterfuck of stuff. It's also like climate threat 7.5, jeez. Yep, not going there. Well, this was a little bit of a doozy. Because I don't need to go check the lava planet. That's just going to be a bunch of lava. Proto World is going to have Protosite. It does have a mountainous planet. Maybe that one has it. Florins don't need to eat during the day if they stay in the sun. Huh. I didn't know that. Is that a frickin' Universe edition or something? Because that sounds like pretty cool. Ah, here we go. Sarkisium on an irradiated planet, amongst a bunch of other crap. Climate threat. Impossible! Okay, let's at least check it out. Troop. Now the thing is, okay, I do have a tier 2 radiation EPP. EPP? I don't know if that's gonna be enough, but we can try. Oh yeah, and I'm still wearing the freaking tier 3 armor. Maybe I should switch that out to something that's a little bit better. Because I should have something that is... Well, it's only tier 4, so it's one tier higher, but... Oh, this armor would... This is an EVA suit that would give me radiation resistance. Okay, we'll try out this set just because it's a little bit more protective. And if I can't survive, we'll have to use the EVA suit. Yeah, you say. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so it's just tier 2. And since I don't have natural... 15% less hit points? Are you serious? Okay. No high gravity here, at least. Soil is a little bit more solid than on some other planets, though. But hey, it's okay. Actually, I have some manipulator modules. Before we go any further, let's see, 15. So I could actually upgrade my lasers once. Just have to add them to the hotbar. Yeah, I play like a lot of different types of games. I tend to stick to survival, block building, crafting kind of games. But I also do a little bit of strategy related stuff. Like one of the other games I've been playing recently is something called Rise to Ruins. Oh god, oh god. Oh my god, that almost killed me. And of course RimWorld, as I've talked about a little bit. But unlike a lot of people that play RimWorld, I can't stick to one game for literally weeks on end. When I do RimWorld, I tend to like create a colony and keep it going for like a long time, like longer lasting colonies rather than keeping on switching it out. Which is something I've noticed from other streamers. They like, it's almost like once a week they play a new colony almost. Not always like at their own desire, but simply because their colony ends up dying for various reasons, forcing them to sort of do a new one. But yeah, I'm more like into the long haul stuff, being a bit more with a consistent run. Ooh. So I'm thinking a little bit about the Circassian. There's some. It's not gonna be rare, it seems, but it's definitely gonna be around. But yeah, I definitely like playing around with mods a lot. And if you're curious about what kinds of games I've played more specifically, I do link my Steam profile in my panels on Twitch here, where you can see, like, as you probably know, a complete overview of all the different games and how many hours I've put into them. A lot of which is modded, so just like Tumbling Satellite, for instance, I also myself have played a lot of Factorio. And that's another game that I've also played with my friend here. Had like a server running with some mods, but before that we were also playing unmodded, which was a very nice time. Basically prompted me to get some of the more difficult achievements in the game, just for the added difficulty and challenges. Like I like to have challenges, but at the same time I also like to chill out with gameplay. Oh no, invisible spiders or something. Oh crap. Or very small ones at that, at least. Okay, that was a little bit scary. But yeah, I try to keep my streams a little bit mixed up in terms of what I'm playing, so yeah. Those spiders suck, especially on lightless worlds. Oh yeah, like lightless worlds just suck, period. Freaking submit to the darkness, alright. But you know, they're supposed to be a challenge for a reason. We're not getting a lot of Circassian. Gotten some Iridium. However, there. I've got like 8 Circassian more. Shoot. Wanted to put that down there just so it's easier to track. So maybe an irradiated world is not where I should get this stuff. Unfortunately, there's no real good way to figure it out other than trial and error, so you just have to dig around and see what you find. And like one thing about the planet overview mod changes that are carried out is that, for better or for worse, it includes all the ores on a planet, meaning that if a planet has a particular sub-biome that enables or specifically allows for ores to spawn that doesn't spawn anywhere else on the planet, then they're also accounted for in the overview. That does mean though that sometimes you can, and that's sort of why sometimes you can get certain ores on lower tier planets, simply because those sub-biomes randomly spawn in. And on very large planets, of course, they can be very big, even as a sub-biome, warranting you to actually like maybe even go to those rather than like a full planet with just that stuff, as far as I remember. Yeah, it's wacky to see a planet spawning like Noxium and Densinium, but it's only because of an elder precursor microbiome somewhere deep underground. Yeah, exactly. Which is like a very rare biome otherwise. Which, fortunately, like with the, if I remember correctly from the mod's description of it back in the day when I read about it, in vanilla there's like a limit on how many ores it can display as well. So if you have certain planets that just naturally generate a lot of different ores, it doesn't, like the vanilla game is not allowed to like visualize them all, so there's just like a cutoff point. And sometimes that means you know, you'll go to a planet and you'll see like huge quantities of some kind of mineral, but it's not listed as being present there, and you're like scratching your head over as why that might be. Unfortunately, the same like chain of mods also increases the info of set sub-biomes that you mentioned, like the ancient stuff and such. Oh crap. Okay, well that's the last Stream Raiders fight at least. Okay, that tells me that we'll return to this on another stream, unfortunately. Because I'm getting hungry. And haven't had anything else than breakfast for today. Hey, you guys actually stuck to that corner. Nice. Very cool. So yeah, unfortunately this will be the last thing we do today, and then we'll see about raiding someone. How about that? This time there should be plenty of people. So we have 44. Does it say anywhere how many enemies we have? Nah. But because we're right in front of like a bunch of speed hampering terrain, let's speed ourselves up here. Just to get to them faster. I think I know who to raid. Let's first see how we do on this one. Oh god, that's a lot of ranged projectiles going towards that road. That's what happens when you're faster than a bullet, or volleyball, or whatever the heck those things are. Are they... I'm not even sure what they even are. Well, we're absolutely decimating them though. Good job, everyone. Oh, I didn't even realize that we would get such great rewards there. Okay, so Amata, you get 50 gold coins. Rennie G, you get 50 gold coins, and Nosok gets a Musketeer scroll. And then we'll wait with the gold chest until next stream. Then we'll definitely hit the boss back there. Anyways. So let's see here, we've got this thing. So while I get this thing rolling, I'll use this opportunity to say thanks for everyone who dropped by with Tumble's raid and stayed, and everyone who's dropped in afterwards. Actually a little bit of a shame, like I've got this credits thing, and I unfortunately cannot add like raiders on here, like say you get a raid, because that would be kind of cool. But thanks for the follow, Amata, again.
Submit!
I wonder if it's gonna add that one. Thanks, Cass. I don't know if I might have to click the roll credits thing too, then you can get up there as well. Anyways, so the person in question that I'm thinking we should raid is called Anthea. You might know her. She's a streamer that also does RimWorld, but she's also she's currently playing Pokemon, so let's raid her. You're welcome, Amata. You're welcome. I should not try and pronounce that so hard. Anyways, let's go.